is the case, that he's launched an attack on the 14th Amendment, trying to overturn due process for so many immigrants. He's launched an attack on the Constitution as a whole. He called for its termination in December of 2022. I think that his character is also quite bad. He's been held civilly liable for rape. He's been convicted of 34 felonies. He's boasted about perving on naked underage teenage girls at Miss Teen USA. Yeah, how does that make you feel?
Okay. Before I start, can I not say it? Does it bleep the quote unquote T word? Am I not allowed to say that? I don't want to get you like banned or anything.
The bleep thing is new. I honestly wish I could turn it off. I don't think I can, but it's new. Just don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to say I've been a Trump supporter since 2016. I'm very, very upset with how he's handled this E-word situation. Again, I don't know if I could say that.
Dude, just say it. Just say it. Don't be scared of the bleep, bro. Don't be scared of the bleep.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm trying to be respectful with you.
No, man. I appreciate you for that. I'm telling you, it won't get me in trouble. I think that dude, like, it was literally censoring Trump. Like, just say whatever you want to say.
I've been a Trump supporter since 2016. I do not at all like the way he has been handling the Epstein situation here recently. I'll start off with that. And I know there are going to be some MAGA people that are, with Trump, that are with Trump, through everything. I'm not one of those people. I think how he's handled this Epstein situation is awful. I don't stand by that whatsoever. Now, through policy, some of the stuff he's done so far I've liked, with, let's say, like bringing the Keystone Pipeline. That was a big one that I support. There's some stuff I don't like. Some of the stuff you said I don't like. So
why do you like him? Why are you a fan?
Well, I voted for him, over Kamala. I like his policy more than I wish he'd shut up most of the time and act like a president. But I like his policy more so than I'd say what the opposing policy is, from what I've seen.
Okay, so what's your favorite Trump policy?
Where do I start? Right. So this current term, probably energy independence. If I had to pick one, probably energy independence.
Okay, so what is this energy independence policy?
Specifically, under Trump, we became the world's #1 producer of oil and gas.
Okay, so we're going to increase like the domestic production of crude oil in this country. So you think he's going to be better for that than the left? Well, that's just simply not what we've seen, man. So if we want to compare Donald Trump's first term to the Biden-Harris administration insofar as how much crude oil was produced under the two terms, we actually saw that the most ever produced under Trump's first admin was in December of 2019 at 12.9 thousand barrels of oil per day. Now, under the Biden-Harris administration, they were able to produce more than that for over a year and a half straight. The reason why they were so good for energy independence is because they focused on approving more drilling permits to drill on more federal land than the Trump administration. I know that sounds like something that you wouldn't believe or doesn't align with the virtue signaling that Donald Trump has shouted about. But, in modern American history, he has been real great for energy independence. Like the left has been real great for energy independence. And I'm not so sure that there is anything that like Trump's doing to specifically help our energy production. What I do know is that the big, beautiful bill he passed rolled back a lot of the subsidies and credits that our government had offered to clean energy producers in this country, which has reduced their productive capacity by 72%, which is actually hurting American energy independence for renewable forms of energy resources and increasing the price of energy for the average American household by around $400 per year.
Right.
I can't hear you when you're on pause. Y'all, is that bleep shit annoying? That word probably got bleeped. It bleeped American? Dude. It's weird. It's funny. Okay, I'm pretty sure this guy's actually leaving. This guy got silenced. Oh, he did. He did leave. Okay. All right. Well, bye. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to delete the microphone and then like add it back to see if it gets rid of the bleep. Give me a second. Let me see if this works. Let me see if this works. You won't be able to hear me for like 3 seconds over on TikTok. All right. You guys are gonna be able. Oh wait, actually, you could still hear me. Whoa. What? It applies to all the mics. Now, we'd have to restart the stream in order to get rid of it. All right, everybody. We're going to move on to the next guest, everyone. Do just give us a minute here, y'all. Do just give us a minute here. Put a Maga with your age down below in that chat if you'd like to join up and have a conversation with me insofar as why you support the current president. We got Ham loading up into the box right now. We got Mr. Ham. And also, everybody, we just went live. Welcome into You Support Trump.
I do.
Ham, no. No, Ham, no.
Yeah.
Why do you support Trump?
I mean, I would just say policy.
Really big policy guy. What's your favorite T-word policy?
I mean, I would definitely say the tickle fight with Dean policy. I mean,
it's you. He's been trying to have a tickle fight with me for like a year. Yeah, Ham. Ham's been trying to have a tickle fight with me for like a year, everybody. Isn't that some crazy shit? Okay, moving on to the next Trump supporter here. We're here for some serious conversation. So, though I'm not going to oblige, okay, and the immature, childish nonsense, such as a tickle party. Moving on to the next guest. Here we go. Everybody just give us a minute, guys. Welcome in. Do you support Trump, Joe?
I just want to read a quote from Trump, if that's all right, Dean.
Do you support him?
My entire family does.
Okay, but do you?
Absolutely not. I'm not even going to lie to you. But
All right. Well, thank you so much for not lying to me, but we are only looking for Trump supporters to debate, so I'm going to have to kick you out here. Betsy, thank you so much for the $20 over on Venmo. Betsy, thank you. I really appreciate you so much for the love. Yo, everybody watching the live, show some love to Betsy down below in that comment section right now. Thank you.
Dean?
H.
Hi.
H?
I love you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the love, Emma. I got to kick you now. Guys, make sure we're in that queue that we're at least 18 and we support Trump. Guys, we're only looking for debates. And also, y'all, show some love to Betsy down below for the $20 on Venmo. Betsy leaves a kind message. Betsy just says, you are a truth teller. I appreciate you for the love, Betsy. Thank you for being here, and I hope that you're enjoying the live stream. Same thing with Ayush. Ayush with the $4 donation on Venmo says, keep doing what you're doing. I'll never stop, Ayush. Thank you for the love. Welcome in. What is going on, Tint? Do you support Trump?
Huh?
Do you support Trump?
No.
Get the hell out of here. Okay, guys. What doing? That word probably got bleeped on TikTok. If you're on YouTube and you're really confused what the bleeps that we're talking about are, we're trying out like a new system. They announced like an auto bleep. It's supposed to help with their bands, but it's just kind of like randomly bleeping out words. Like, well, we don't really know how to deal with it. I'm gonna lose access to it. But anyways. If you happen to be one of the 7.6 thousand people watching over on TikTok right now, and you support Trump, please put a Maga with your age down below in that chat. Then also for the guest request, please only join the guest request if you're an American adult that supports the current sitting American president. Please follow the rules. I would appreciate you guys so much if you would please follow the rules. It would mean the world to me, and I do mean that seriously, because at the end of the day, we are just looking for debates. Everybody, please respect that, you guys. I don't know like what I could say or what I could do to convince like the people in the queue that like are liberals or aren't Trump supporters to leave. Like for whatever reason, like it's never enough to convince you guys to leave. But I just really appreciate it if we could try to keep it to debates for the day. And thank you for the Galaxy whoever sent that. That is very kind. All right, what's up, Slim Shady? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, Dean, you're fucking.
Okay, I appreciate you so much for coming up, man. Maybe next time you could use big boy brain cells and big boy words. We're not here to talk to literal children. Goodbye. Moving on. What's going on, Clump? Do you support Trump?
What's up? Yeah, I do.
All right, phenomenal. Go ahead and give us a minute here to I need to thank a couple people for their love real quick. Josephine, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. They say just wanted to say that the auto bleep sounds like it's bleeping words that sound like cuss words. Yeah, good point. As well as, oh my God, Christian, thank you for the $200 donation over on PayPal. And Caitlin with another $100 donation on PayPal. Oh my God. Dude, Christian and Caitlin, you guys are so kind. That is insane. I don't even know what to say to the two of you guys. Thank you both so very much. If we could please all show some love to Christian and Caitlin, at least for like the next 5 or 10 minutes while we're starting this next debate, that would mean the world to me. Let's go ahead and read both of their messages real quick. So once again, Christian with the $200 donation says, thank you for supporting gay rights and for saying hi to me. You and Parker are amazing in a light and dark time. You're great. Christian, you are great, brother. Thank you so much for being here every single day. You've become such an instrumental and important part of the community. So just know that I really do appreciate you alongside everybody else. Show some love to Christian down below. As well as Caitlin said, please keep up what you're doing. Caitlin, I'll never stop. I simply love it too much. And thank you so much for your kindness and generosity once again. Now, Clumpus Cells, take it away. Why do you support Trump?
Well, there's a contradiction that I'm trying to figure out where, the left has, for all of time, fundamentally been against fossil fuels and, greener energy and wanting to shift towards a, greener, less pollutive future, right?
Yeah.
But why would then the Biden administration be responsible for some of the most drilling permits and otherwise during their administration if they claim to be for greener energy and not burning fossil fuels?
Yeah, great question, man. It's actually a pretty good plan as well. So their goal was to A, make the most investments into renewable energy resources that we've ever seen from any presidential administration, and to B, also dominate the production of crude oil on like the global stage, or at least try our best to. And the reason why these goals are important is because right now renewable energy resources are just simply unattainable or too expensive for the average American, and they've kind of come to the hard understanding that they can't force it on people. And that right now, non-renewable energy resources are still going to be consumed a lot by the average American. So their goal is to make these massive multi-million or even in some cases billion-dollar investments into renewable forms of energy resources so we can make it more affordable in the future, while also focusing on taking up as much of that global supply of crude oil as possible. So once we are ready to make the switch, because the renewable forms of energy resources are just as cost efficient as fossil fuels, we'll dominate enough of the crude oil production market in order to make such a significant market switch.
But do you actually even believe in the climate change that they attribute that to?
Well, I mean, now you're shifting the goalpost and asking a completely different question than you did in the first end.
I'm sorry, what?
You're shifting the goalpost and now asking an entirely different question than you did on the first hand. Because your first question was, well, like, why did they focus on the production of crude oil if they're so, like, pro-green energy? I gave you a great explanation so far as why that is the case and how I actually agree with that goal.
That's fine.
And then you just completely ignored it all.
What was I supposed to do?
I mean, like, like engage in, like, the response that I gave you to the question. But I mean,
said I was
if you're
curious
just
about
curious.
the contradiction.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Could you agree that it's not contradictory?
No, not at all. Because if they, still own a business and they actually, believed in the virtues that they espouse, would they not then do everything in their power to set up a set of circumstances where they could invest solely in in renewables? Therefore, we would be the global leader in that certain arena on the global stage.
Okay. Well, I mean, you'd completely dismissed my answer, and you obviously didn't listen to it either, because the left tried that, and it just was a failing pragmatic plan to just invest into renewable energy resources and ignore fossil fuels. It made energy more expensive, and it made them unpopular. So
how did they do that?
One moment. The better plan that the left has come to was a trade-off of saying that let's invest as much as we can into both non-renewable and renewable energy resources, so we can continue to dominate the production of non-renewable energy resources when they're more cost-efficient for the consumers, while also dominating investment into non-renewable energy resources. So in the long term, when they become more affordable, we'll be able to control a sufficient amount of the non-renewable energy market and switch them to a renewable energy market.
So it sounds a whole lot like a bunch of word salad. So I didn't exactly understand what you were trying to get at with that. Honestly, all I heard was it's too expensive for the consumer, and that's why they didn't do it. That was a whole lot of words.
Listen. I remember taking my Calculus 1 class my junior or sophomore year of high school, and when I didn't do my homework and I didn't study for the tests, like my professor sounds like he was spouting a bunch of word salad. I don't think that spoke to his ability as a teacher or his intelligence level. I think that spoke to my ability as a student to be able to follow and track what he was saying. because I
I
do
didn't
my
question that at all. I said there was a whole lot of words to say just that it's too expensive on the consumer.
Well, it's a little bit more than it's just too expensive on the consumer. It would also include like the fact that they want to be able to switch as much of the market over to renewable energy resources in the future when renewable energy resources are more affordable for the consumer.
But you said
And
they
that's why
tried.
they're also focusing so much on investment into non-renewable energy resources now.
You said they tried to invest into the renewables. How did they do that?
Yeah, for sure. Like the Inflation Reduction Act was a multi-million-dollar investment into renewable energy resources, in which bumped the production of renewable energy resources upwards of 72%.
Yeah, how so? That's what I'm asking. Where did they invest that money into? What industries or what certain companies did they invest into?
Yeah, I think that they did a lot of solar and wind.
Okay, and do we know what the result? I'm just not.
Yeah,
abreast
no,
of
the result of
what
the IRA
the
clean
result
energy
was.
tax credits was an increase in production to 72%. In fact, that is the precise amount of rollback on clean energy production that we're seeing as a result of the big beautiful bill rolling back those IRA clean energy credits. Yes. I feel like you're getting pissed because I actually know the answers to your questions.
But you didn't.
I've answered every single thing that you just asked.
So, again, do you not agree with the climate change if you support this rollback?
Do I not agree with climate change? And I don't support the rollback of the IRA clean energy tax credits. Outside of like reducing the investment that we're making into clean energy now and reducing the productive capacities of clean energy, it's also just increasing the cost of energy for the average American household by around $400 per year.
It is a lot easier for adults 18 to 25 to afford a house when they under the Trump administration, and not only that, but we were full send into the fossil fuel.
Wow!
What?
Wow! Man, that was good. That was really good. Everything that you just said was awesome. No, that was so cool. Because we were having a conversation, right, about like fossil fuel production, the goals of the left. You thought it was contradictory for them to produce more crude oil while also saying that they care about renewable energy resources. And then I was able to answer your questions. I think that you started asking very specific questions to attempt to achieve a gotcha moment.
Bro,
asking me
you're the only
specifically
one
where
that-
the
that
IRA
votes for gotchas.
invest into, and then you even asked for like specific industries. You asked for specific like productive capacities and the impact that the investment in clean energy under the IRA had. I was able to answer everything that you said and had asked, and like now after like the culmination of all those facts, you're just saying, well, it was a lot easier to afford a house under Trump. Well, if you're telling me that you support Trump, also everybody, I don't know why you guys are spamming that the YouTube can't hear me. The YouTube can hear me. And now you're telling me that you support Trump because you think he makes it easier to afford a house. Sure. What's his housing affordability policy?
Do you believe in climate change or don't you?
What? No, you made a claim. Don't pivot. No. That's embarrassing. You said Trump has made it
you
easier
cut me
to
off.
afford houses.
No. Hold on.
I want to know, what is Donald Trump's
So, hold
housing
on.
affordability policy?
Let me at least address what you've already said, right? Such as
Please.
that I was simply out to get one gotcha on you by asking those series of questions, right? And sorry, my dude, you're the only one that attempts gotchas as a form of a win in your eyes. You and Parker, of course. Some of us are genuinely out here to engage in legitimate discourse. That's why I asked you a couple different things, and some that don't even pertain to each other, such as, like, do you actually believe the narrative of climate change? Which is why I was asking you those other questions, is because...
Yeah, for sure. I don't think that climate change is a narrative. I think that climate change is a scientific fact.
So what evidence do you have to support this fact?
Yeah, the consensus of 91% of Earth scientists, 97% of Earth scientists.
That say what? That say what specifically? Because I need to hear a specific...
that climate change is real. That climate change in part
Yeah,
is
nobody's
caused by
disputing that.
humans.
That's false.
That's science.
So to the level that you're trying to claim that we're affecting climate change to such an effect that we have to roll back all of our carbon pollution and whatnot so that we, actually the earth is covered by far much more green today than it was 100 years ago because of that carbon output. We are actually doing better for the earth by the impact of humans on the planet than not. So the carbon pollution is actually just this big boogeyman that the left and the...
So you think that CO2 in the atmosphere is good?
So to a certain extent, it can be bad, certainly. But when we're talking about imminent catastrophe, climate change, that they try and scare people with, such as, if we don't do something in X amount of years, if we don't do something
listen. The fact of the matter is this is like basic physics, okay? Right? This is like super basic physics. So like point number one, some simple chemistry real quick. When we burn carbon-based materials, CO2 is emitted. Wabam. Point number two, basic physics. CO2 absorbs heat
I believe that would be
quicker
chemistry.
than any
so you might
other.
get that right.
No, that would be
Chemistry.
physics.
Really?
Yeah, the heat absorption of things would be in relation to physics.
You sure?
Yes, I am positive.
You want to defer to your chat GPT there real quick?
No.
I mean, if you want to get real specific, thermodynamics would probably be the closer field that you're trying to... I'll let you continue. I just don't like when you try and get one over on people by saying words that they probably don't understand and they don't catch that you use they use them improperly. And
Did I say anything improper?
Well, yeah, I said.
What did I say that was improper?
That you're relating to? You said physics, but it's probably chemistry that's more closely related to what you're talking about.
Heat absorption can relate to physics. It could also relate to chemistry. You said if I want to be more specific, because I would be referencing thermodynamics. Thermodynamics is physics.
Okay.
So you're actually the one that said more specifically what you're referencing is physics, and now you're trying to say what I'm referencing is not physics. Listen, I understand that you don't want to engage in a real conversation, so you want to try to be super meticulous of the words that I'm using, but don't worry. The super specific words that I'm using are accurate.
Okay. I'll trust your judgment.
Wait, no, trust your own judgment. You said, you said that what I'm talking about specifically is thermodynamics, right? That's something that you had said, correct?
I said it would probably be more closely related to thermodynamics than it would be just to physics in general, yeah.
Thermodynamics falls under what study of science?
Well, what did you just say? Physics, right? Is that what you looked up?
That's not what I looked up. That's what I learned in high school.
Roger that.
Did you learn that in high school?
I learned a bunch of shit that I probably don't remember.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much.
I'm far older than you, and I've had a lot more life experience since you've been to high school.
Very nice. Okay. This guy seems a little bit upset that he can't win.
No?
How about this? Let's go to the main prompt of the conversation, because you actually haven't answered the main question yet. Steffi, I do appreciate you so much for the motorcycle. I want to ask you why you support Trump, and I want to hear your response. But quickly, before I do, there's a handful of people that I need to thank, because holy you guys have been going crazy. Abby with $1 on Venmo 12 minutes ago says, try putting rules on the background that might help with guests. I agree it would. There's just no space to fit them in. Maybe I could try them right above this heading. But thank you for the $, as well as the recommendation, Abby. And then Bree, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. Bree says, I'd say the best way to spend my day off, but I also watch at work a little. Good to catch you today. It's good to have you in here with us today. Thank you for being here, Bree. And then Julie, thank you for the $20 on Venmo. Julie says, my son is super happy you're back to debating. Where were you? I was out in LA for 5 days, having a bunch of fun, doing business. It was enjoyable. Thank you so much for the $20 donation, Julie. If everybody could please show some love to Julie down below in that comment section, that would be fantastic. Show some love to Julie down below right now for the $20 donation, 200 Julie W's. And then, oh my goodness gracious. Holy cow. Okay. All right. Quickly. Natalie, thank you for the $100 donation over on Venmo. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Natalie. For everybody hanging out with us in the live streams, if you guys could please show some love to Natalie down below. Let's get 1,000 Natalie W's down below in that comment section, literally right now, for the $100 donation. That is so incredibly kind. I do not deserve that at all, Natalie. Natalie says, I miss seeing your live since I moved to FR. Coming back tomorrow to finish my visa, and the only bright spot is knowing I can catch you more regularly. Appreciate the work that you do. You knew me as Vigilante. Don't worry, I know you, Vigilante. Natalie/Vigilante, thank you so much for the $100 donation. It is so incredibly kind of you, and thank you so much. And I hope that the visa application process goes well, and thank you so much for being in here with us today. As well as 1 minute ago from Lauren with the $75 donation over on Venmo. Dude, what is going on today? Show some love to Lauren down below. At least 1,000 Lauren W's, they say. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. As a woman, it means the world having somebody like you advocating for us. You have such a kind and beautiful soul. I love watching your lives and debates. Lauren, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for your kind words. I genuinely appreciate you, Natalie, and everybody else that has been sending over such kind words to the moon and back. You guys mean the absolute world to me, so thank you guys so much. As well as I'd like to thank Dominica. I'm just going to call you Dominica. There we go. Dominica with the $50 donation over on PayPal. Dominica says, "Hey Dean, thanks for all that you do. I'm Canadian. My grandma married an American who turned her into a Republican. Oh no. You should send her up here so I can have a chat with her. Show some love to Dominica for the $50 donation down below, as well as Alicia with a 5, Bjorn for the 12. Thank you so much for the love, Bjorn, and then Angela for the 10 as well, guys. Thank you so much for the love. And then we have 2 super chats to thank quickly, and then we'll let this guy hop back into the argument. Kim, thank you for the $10 over on super chat. It means the world. Sunny Bear with the $10 as well. Thank you so much. And then Jonah with the $20. Thank you so much for the love, Jonah. Jonah says, as an environmental scientist, listening to this is torture. Please tell the caller to get educated by a professional and not AI. I think a lot of the issues that some of my guests stem from is where they get their information from. We've already had a handful of other donations come through. I'm going to go and let this guy hop into the argument. But thank you guys so much, and you know who you are, and I'll definitely make sure to thank you myself here in a little bit. But take it away. Why do you support Trump?
Well, just to set the record straight for that comment, I actually didn't reference any kind of AI to bolster any of my arguments. I actually don't use any kind of cheat sheet. Fact is, I can sit here with just the phone in my hand and do just fine as a high school graduate and still hold my own. So didn't need any AI, just saying. Because back in my day, we actually didn't have even the internet. So, we relied on ourselves. But I'm curious, back when you started this, obviously it was to try and sway as many of the Kamala voters as you could. And now that Trump won and, the tour didn't exactly, rock anybody's world. What's your next plan for your career? What do you plan next?
What's the next step for my career? I think it's funny that you just can't answer the question over my head. It's fine though. I'll answer. I'll answer your question. I'm a nice guy.
But I'm curious. Does anybody even get to ask you these kind of questions?
Well, I mean, I think that the next step is exactly what I'm doing right now. Continue to try to change minds and get people to critically think to a higher degree and be more progressive in their day-to-day life and how they view the world around them, man. And I think that we're doing an all right job.
But does this have any kind of upward trajectory other than getting more views?
Yeah, I change minds, and I love what I do.
Oh, okay.
Stephanie, thank you for the train. I appreciate you so much.
That's fulfilling enough for you. I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
fine.
That is incredibly fulfilling to me. Changing minds and getting people to think critically is likely the most fulfilling thing to me ever.
But you think your tactics actually get people to think critically, or you think it just makes them feel either, condescended or made to feel stupid? You think your tactics do that?
I think my tactic of giving the same energy that I receive to some people can make them feel condescended upon, but that's going to be predicated on you giving me that same energy first. I mean, I think I should turn the other cheek in some circumstances, but there comes a point where I'm just simply incapable of it because I'm too sassy, right? But now I understand, if I was a little bit more like Jesus and turned that other cheek, I'd probably be able to change even more minds. But I don't know. You win some and you lose some. But why do you support Trump? Take it away. Tell us why. Tell us why you're MAGA.
Do you think sassy is a solid masculine trait?
Well, I don't think that I'm going to ask a man who supports a man who's been held civilly liable for rape and hit on 10-year-old girls anything about what they view masculinity as or as not. I don't really see you as too much of a reliable basis for how men are supposed or not supposed to act. So let's go back to the question over my head. Why do you support Trump?
So my vote for Trump was not predicated on my judgment of his masculinity. It was based on a lot of other factors that didn't have anything to relate to that.
Okay, so why do you support him?
Well, strictly because he's more pro-life than Kamala. That's all I really cared about. That would have
Oh,
been
more
that would have been my
pro-life.
single issue. Yeah, that would have been my single issue if I were a single issue voter. He's at least far more pro-life than she was,
Okay, why do you want a candidate that's more pro-life?
because I think abortion should be banned. Period.
Oh, like in all scenarios?
I mean, so if we're trying to allow for the exceptions of rape, incest, and life of the mother, those are less than 1% of the instances of abortion. So yeah, I think there can be made concessions for those particular instances if they
Why do you call
happen.
that? Why do you call that a concession?
Because abortion should be illegal across the board because it is, in fact,
Even in
murder.
circumstances of rape?
Right. That's why I said they can make concessions in those situations.
I know. I'm happy that you support like a quote unquote concession there, because the practical outcome if you were dictator would hopefully be that women who were raped have access to abortion. But I think what this is like greater informing me of is that that's still not something that you would ideologically align with. So do you hold to like the personal belief that you think even in circumstances of rape, abortion is wrong?
No, I think the exponential increase in cases of abortion just in the recent probably decade is
Well,
just
you obviously haven't been looking at abortion. It's been going down for the last 20 years until Roe v. Wade was overturned. But you're still not answering the question. Like, ideologically speaking, do you think that it is wrong for a rape victim to get an abortion?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, that's the claim. That's the claim that I'd like to debate. Real quick, I said that there's a handful of other people that I had to thank earlier. You guys are seriously going fucking insane today. I don't even know what to say to you guys. Y'all have been so incredibly kind. But real quickly before we hop into the debate there, let me thank two people. And then we're going to talk to this guy about why he thinks that rape victims should not have access to abortion, which I view as one of like the most despicable views anybody in America can hold to. But I'd like to thank Ann, that is ANN, for the $70 Canadian.
Yes, after me.
And thank you for the 70 Canadian dollars over at YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much for the love. And that is, so he actually got banned for saying that. Wow. Good job, TikTok. And with the 70 Canadian dollars over on YouTube Super. Thank you for the love, Anne. That is so kind of you. Can we please all show some love to Anne down below in that comment section while we're working on getting our next guest up in the box? Let's get 700 Ann W's down below. We are hopefully going to get that next Trump supporter loaded in right now. We got RT loaded in. And once again, thank you so much for your kindness. Thank you. And everybody show some love to Anne, as well as Crunchy with the $10 saying, thank you for keeping me entertained while I do my weekend stock update. Dean, love the content. Appreciate you for being here, bro. I hope that you're enjoying the conversations. I wish that last one could have gone on longer. I love like telling people why they're wrong about like their abortion beliefs, because that is just such a terrible view. It's absolutely indefensible and so easy to overcome. Welcome in, RT. Do you support Trump? All right, our RT's not here. We're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone give us a minute to get that next Trump supporter loaded into the box. Make sure if you are in that queue that you support Trump. And dude, again, Caitlin with the $300 donation over on Venmo. Dude, Caitlin. That is so much money. I do not deserve that at all. That is literally so fucking kind of you, Caitlin. Holy dude. Guys, please show some love to Caitlin down below. That is Caitlin with a K. Kaitlyn. Caitlin says, you are great. Please remember your point in standing up for those who can't stand up for themselves. I'm a nurse, and it absolutely sucks what's happening. Caitlin, thank you so much for the work that you do. Working in the medical field is so incredibly important for everybody. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And thank you for your kindness. I mean, seriously, a $300 donation is not something that I deserve. Once again, I really do genuinely appreciate you for your kindness as well as your generosity. Everybody has been so kind and so generous today. Just thank you for the love, Caitlin. Everybody, please show some love to Caitlin. And in fact, I'd also like to thank Tiffany for Tiffany's $50 donation 7 minutes ago. Jeez, Tiffany, thank you so much for the love. Tiffany says, so happy that you and your girlfriend are okay after what happened. Thank you for always fighting. University Hospital main campus loves watching your debates here in Ohio. Tiffany, I'm guessing that you're referring to what happened a while ago with a BB gun. Yeah, we are all good. We actually ended up finding out who did it and whatnot. Just know that I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the kind words, as well as a $50 donation. Let's get 500 Tiffany W's on top of the 3,000 Caitlin W's. And then also Stefan for the $40 over on Venmo. That is Steffi over on TikTok. They say, thank you for fighting the good fight and calling out these people on their illogical stances. They need to be called out, and thank you for doing so. Well, Steffi, once again, thank you for your support. You and like everybody, like once again, I don't know what's going on today. Like I literally don't know. You guys are being today. Just thank you for the love, Steffi. As well as Shrill with the $10 over on PayPal. Justin with the $25 over on PayPal. Shout out to Justin down below in that chat. Justin says, as a man who is 18, I support all the women in the live and I'm on your side. Keep fighting for your rights. We hear you. And Dean, please keep bringing awareness to this. Justin, I wish I was a whole lot like you at your age. I mean, I think at like 18, I started to make a lot of progress. But, you know, I wish that I was a lot like you, even younger. So just know that I really appreciate you so much for the love, man. As well as Kyle with the $20 over on Venmo. Kyle says, keep up the great work, Dean. Never stop doing God's work by making sure this world is a better, more educated and accepting place. Kyle, thank you for the kind words. Once again, everybody's being so kind today, as well as the $20 donation. Show some love to all of the donors. And then Annie with the $20 super chat over on YouTube saying, dude, what is that beeping on TikTok? Am I doing it? It's like an auto beep that's supposed to help me from getting banned. I turned it on before I went live, but honestly, I think it was a big mistake. Anyways, Ali, welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Dean, I'm young, but I fucking love you, bro.
Ali, I appreciate you for that, man. I gotta kick you out if you're under the age of 18. Just know that I'm proud of you, bro. I seriously am. I'm proud of you. I am like especially proud of like all the young men that you know are on the left, hold to more progressive ideals. I'm really proud of you guys. But let's go to move on to the next guest at this point, y'all. Everybody, just do be patient. Welcome in. Do you support Trump?
Yes, I do.
Okay, how old are you?
I am 18.
Great. What year were you born in?
2007.
Awesome. Why do you support Trump as president, bro? Take it away.
Well, firstly, I have two things to note. I am 17 and I'm a Canadian, so I have every...
Okay. Then don't lie about being 8. Like, why would he lie about being 18 just to say that he's 17, like, less than 3 seconds later? I have no clue. Sarah, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo saying, fan in Alaska, I'm a nurse practitioner and recommend you to the patient struggling with the current state of our country. Dude, honestly, Sarah, that is great. I know like a lot of people have been given like some hope or some optimism just by watching the lives. So that's a great recommendation. And I thank you so much for being here as well. But let's go and get that next guest up in here. If you are in that queue, make sure that means that you support Donald J. Trump. Also make sure that you're putting a Maga down below in that chat if you'd like to join. Welcome in Legacy. Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Age? Right now. Yeah, that is a minor. That is a fetus. Okay, I think that we're going to try to pull from the comment section compared to the queue because the queue is just overrun with kids, dude. Oh my God, Jessica, thank you for the $50 super chat over on YouTube. Jessica, geez, thank you so much. Wow, she didn't leave a message. Jessica, thank you for the love. That is so much money. While we're hopping into this next debate, let's see 500 Jessica W's down below in that comment section right now. Thank you, Jessica. And welcome in, Daniel. Do you support Trump?
I'm a fetus and I love you, Diva Dean.
Bruh, dude, I'm telling you, I gotta stop pulling from the queue. Stay out of the queue unless you're an adult that supports Trump, that is ready and willing to debate. Come on, you guys, please. Holy cow. Okay, what is going on for Trump?
Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, you both do. Okay, Jackson, age?
21.
Okay, Fane, age?
25, and you can call me Blake. That's my name.
Okay, Blake and Jackson. Jackson, what year were you born in?
2004.
And 2000.
Okay, yeah, I believe you, Blake. What month, Jackson?
Bro doesn't believe me. January 27, 2004.
Ages line up. You just sound young, so we gotta make sure the age checks out.
Yeah,
All
no
right,
problem.
you guys, we'll go and do a little bit of a 2v1. Take it away, you two. Convince me why I should support Trump. Dude, he is doing such a bad job. I don't personally understand how there's anybody left that supports him, but here we are having a conversation. I think it'll be great. Take it away, you guys. Why do you support the current president?
Jackson, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, all right, brother. Dude, I think it's more so, first off, I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So growing up in the South, I think you kind of get put on it. But I just look at the way the country has moved in the last 4 years, bro. In terms of how many people, like, for example, I'm in Louisiana, how many people crossing the border, how many people are illegally taking jobs, illegally not paying taxes. I just feel that, with the prices of everything, with the 4 years going up under Biden, bro, I find it hard to not necessarily be a Trumpy. I don't really say my stance on that, but it's more so like, how could I ever support the Democrats with how far left they've gone? Like, it's obvious that they lost the election for a reason. I mean, like,
Because of how far left? So what policy did Harris run on that was just like too far left?
Like, you want me to give you a specific? I'll give you an example. Okay, so they're having she had a rally in Georgia, and she got Megan Thee Stallion on stage, sitting there twerking. Like, I don't think that comes. Like, I don't think the general American population, normal people, really think that's appropriate, bro. Like,
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that connecting with like the youth with a figure that is incredibly popular with the youth is actually something that I wish we saw more out of politics. You know,
see, do you think Megan Thee Stallion?
Listen, just listen to what I have to say here real quick. Like,
Okay.
I don't think that she was twerking. I think that she was obviously like dancing when she was singing and whatnot. I think like said connection is like super important. I mean, I think that, you know, like the institution of American politics has been so disconnected from young people, especially for so long. So honestly, when I saw that Kamala Harris and Megan Thee Stallion at a rally, I said, right now, if you're just gonna say like, oh, that's like unprofessional or inappropriate, what's more unprofessional / inappropriate? Having Megan Thee Stallion at one of your rallies, or lying about not being on the Epstein files and sending Epstein a letter of a naked woman with a statement, "May every day be another wonderful secret"?
See, that's I like that point. I like that you brought that up, because that was the next thing I was going to talk about, was the whole Epstein shit. Sorry, I don't know if you're about cursing or whatever, but no, I'm very down the middle, bro, when it comes to the whole Epstein thing. I've not liked how the administration has handled it. I think they're bullshitting it. Just how I think people on the
I'm
left.
happy that we could agree on that, but I just want to clarify. Like, obviously, one of those two things is more inappropriate than the other.
No, but see, that's the thing is, do I think that Trump was doing what Epstein was doing? No. I think there's so many people we could write down on a list.
Would
that
you support him
we're
if he
best
was?
friends?
Like, if he had raped
Absolutely
a woman,
not.
Would you,
Absolutely
if
not.
he had
Of
raped a
course
woman,
not.
would you support him?
Of course not. Of course not.
Okay, what would it
That's
take for you to
insane.
believe that he raped a woman?
That's the problem, bro. Is I feel like the media on both sides. We're talking CNN, we're talking Fox, MSNBC, whatever. I think they're all bullshit, bro.
Okay. Let me give you a hypothetical. So imagine that CNN says that Donald Trump is a rapist, and then Trump sues CNN for calling him a rapist for defamation. They take it to court. They even have the victim there, and the victim provides enough evidence that he had raped her, and convinces a unanimous jury of 9 inside of a civil court. Would you believe that he's a rapist then? If it was litigated inside of a courtroom?
If I could sit there and read the documents and actually hear first like hand testimony and I believe them, like I think that's also a big part. Like,
okay, you're just saying that if you believe them. No, I'm sorry. This is a bad answer. I gave you parameters of like a set of like evidence, such as it being proven inside of a civil court with a ruling of a unanimous jury of 9, and then your response to that was to say, well, I'd believe it if I believe.
All right,
it.
well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so we're talking about media right now. We're talking about, juries ruling this and that. So when Trump sued, was it 60 Minutes for bullshitting the Kamala Harris interview? Kamala, sorry. Like, that was proven to be bullshit, proven that they edited for her bias. Like, do you not believe that's wrong?
So they released like the full unedited clip. Could you please
No,
tell
yeah,
me
no, I
specifically
know,
what they
but like,
edited out
they
for
edited
her
to make her
bias?
seem good. They edited to make her seem like she could actually say 3 sentences and make sense, which obviously
Can you
she
give us a
can't.
handful of these edits?
Brother, did you watch the 60-minute unedited one? It's completely different than the one they aired for the whole country to see.
So, I mean, I think that they cleaned it up, but I mean, that's what you do in professional media.
But see, that's the thing is, if it was Trump and they were doing it, there would be no cleaning up. There would be no editing it to make him seem better. I don't
Really?
even know what the
Really?
word is.
Because
Of
the
course not.
totality, the FBI has literally been cleaning up the Epstein files and putting red flags on parts of it that include his name. I mean, the media on the right has been cleaning up the fact that Donald Trump lied to on the 15th, telling him that Pam Bondi hasn't informed him that he was in the files, even though now we're learning from the DOJ that he's known since May. Like, everybody's cleaning that one up.
So
Everybody's cleaning up the inconsistencies to do with the letters that the Wall Street Journal reported. Everybody's been cleaning up, his policies that relates to the big beautiful bill and just brushing over the fact that it actually reduces the after-tax income of anybody making below or at $51,000 per year. And then also they proved nothing to do with CBS and 60 Minutes and how they aired Kamala Harris's speech. I want to make that so incredibly clear. They settled outside of court. And I think now we're learning why they settled outside of court with Trump. It's because they want to be in his favor. They also canceled Colbert's show to be in his favor so they could achieve a merger. And now they're literally also implementing a bias operator inside of CBS, that directly reports back to the FEC just so Trump's FEC will approve their merger, just so they can make more money. So I don't think that CBS settling outside of court with Trump as it relates to Harris's 60 Minutes interview proves anything.
Okay, that's cool, bro. I look, I don't want to take the platform too much from the other guy.
And then also, I think it's hilarious because now you're telling me that you would trust a civil court that ruled in Trump's favor in his lawsuits against CBS. But why don't you
see,
trust?
brother, I didn't say that.
One second.
You
did.
do
You
that
brought
with
it up as a point.
everybody.
That was the insinuation.
You put words in people's mouth, bro, and like that's just not what I said. Like you did that with that parent when you tried to fucking take his kid away. Like you gotta let that.
I love the tactic. Dude, it's cute. It's super cute.
Put words in people's mouth.
I love the tactic. It's super cute. I love it.
All right, brother. It was a good conversation.
No, you're not. No, the
bro.
conversation's not over yet.
Bro.
The conversation's not over yet. Listen, I get it. So basically, your tactic here so far is come up, talk to Dean, and he left. Okay, well, that's a crash out, everybody. I wish there was something I could do to prevent that, but these people just don't want to be wrong. I want to say this to you, Jackson, as well as to every other Trump supporter, and honestly, every liberal watching as well, because I think this applies to every single human. There's a fact of human nature that hates it when we're wrong. We hate the feeling in our heart that we feel when we're wrong about something. But I just want to be very explicit about this. Being wrong is not like the end point. Okay? That's not the finish line. That's not the stop. Being wrong is like the starting point of a whole new world of opportunity where you finally get to explore truth. So instead of being like Jackson coming up here, making a claim, then being wrong because I'm able to prove you wrong, crashing out, saying false shit about me, trying to get somebody's kid taken away and putting words in their mouth, and then leaving the live before I could even finish my next sentence, just be open to the greater exploration of truth. That's important. That is what we do here. That is the point of these live streams, right? But anyways, Blake, it looks like it is just you. I'm going to go ahead and thank two people real quick before we hop into our discussion. And we could just pick off on a whole new note. But let me quickly thank Samantha for the $3 over on Venmo saying, did you realize that it bleeps you out every time you say the F word now? I know, it's probably good to get me to stop cussing because it does hurt the lives over on TikTok. As well as Sydney with the $3 on Venmo, just saying that I'm a diva. Appreciate you for the love, Sydney. And then Libby, thank you so much for the $50 donation. Holy crap, let's get 500 Libby W's in the live chats. Thank you, Libby. That is so kind of you. Libby says, charge the kids' parents for running a daycare. Bro, I know. This is Dean's daycare now. And then Alex with the $5 as well, saying how I was watching last night and you've now become my favorite streamer. Me and my boyfriend talk about you all the time. I'd love to debate you, but I'm not a Trumpy. I love your flight went well. Dude, Alex, that is so cool. I appreciate you for being here and I'm glad that you enjoy the streams. We definitely run different live streams than most people, but I love what we do here. As well as Ellen with the $15 over on PayPal. Show some love to Ellen. They say, as a person who was raped at 15 and thankfully got pregnant, thankfully I had the choice to get an abortion. Thank you for fighting as hard as you do for women. Ellen, I'm so sorry that happened to you. That is literally one of the worst human experiences describable. Just know that I think that you're an incredibly strong person. And, I also apologize. You have to hear some of the shit that these guests say sometimes because of how personal it could be to you. As well as many other individuals, a lot that have gone through similar experiences to you. I mean, I can't imagine how hard that must be, but I appreciate you for being here, Ellen, and thank you for the love. As well as Fernando, Latona, and Charlotte, all with the $5 over on PayPal. I appreciate you guys so much for your kindness. And Mr. Blake, if you'd like to take it away and tell us why you support Trump as president, that would be a great time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, first of all, for having me on. I'll go ahead and start by obviously saying that, just like you, I do not support every single thing that Trump does, says, or, actions. But I will start by saying the stance on abortion. That's the first one. And then immigration and business. Do you want me to go into depth? And then
where do you want to start?
Yep. We can start with the abortion. So can you please explain, just so I don't get your side wrong, can you just explain what your thoughts are on abortion?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think that it should be legal and attainable for all women and girls in all 50 states. I think that abortion, access to abortion is a human right. The reason I think it's a human right is because we typically view it as a human rights infringement to intrude upon somebody's bodily autonomy unless we don't have any good reason to, right? Like kidnapping somebody, that's going to be a human rights violation. You're infringing upon their personal autonomy. right? In the same way, I think that banning abortion is a human rights violation because we're infringing upon the autonomy and access to healthcare of women and girls without any good reason. And to explain why I don't think that there's any good reason to do so, it's just because I can't identify any good reason that would exist, you know? I think that the pro-life worldview would take on, like, positing the affirmative that this action's wrong, and that the pro-choice worldview is just simply asking the question, why is it wrong? You know, like if a president was to come along and ban rock skipping on ponds, you know, it's not going to be my burden to demonstrate why rock skipping isn't wrong. It's going to be that president and his supporters' burden to demonstrate why it is wrong. So, you know, that's why at this point I'd ask you the question, why is abortion wrong? Why do you think it should be banned?
Sure. Real quick, because you mentioned that it should be allowed. Is that correct? Basically, no matter what the case is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so for me, it's because as of now, from what I've seen and heard, and basically, Trump is in support of abortion for graping. Or life of the mother.
It's not what his policy has done, though. So I care about, like, the material impact of his presidency, not his virtue signals. The material impact of his presidency is simple. He overturned Roe v. Wade. He gave states full and complete control and ability to legislate on abortion at any point in the pregnancy.
Yep.
Like 10, 12 states have now banned access to abortion, even in circumstances of grape. And I mean, like, we see estimates telling us that 60 individuals that were raped and got pregnant as a result of grape are denied access to abortion every single day in America.
Sure. But that's on a state level. That's not directly like Trump didn't necessarily make that the case. He just gave it to the states, and then the states made it on their own.
Right, and he's going to be culpable alongside the leadership of said states for giving them that ability. You know, if I give the ability for a serial killer to have access to a handgun in a room with 10 people in it, and they do their thing, you know, I'm going to be just as culpable alongside that serial killer, given the fact that I knew if I hit this button, it would unlock the door and put the pew-pew in their hand. Right, so
sure.
I think it's important to remember.
Yeah. I guess just from like taking a step back on that, though, you would agree that a single person would be able to make that choice on their own compared to a law or something where it takes a group of people to get together and make that decision. So
why that just means that there's going to be more than one person at fault.
Sure. Okay. But yeah. So because I don't know the exact states. I think Florida is one of them. I'm sure Florida is. Texas, I'm not too sure, because I know Texas is definitely starting to lean more blue as the time goes on. I've at least from what I've seen. But even with that being said, though, let's say I don't mean to like pivot off that so sharply, but let's say if a woman wanted to get an abortion because their kid had Down syndrome, for an example. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that the desire and the reason is wrong. However, I still don't think that the action in of itself is wrong. We could separate like intent from action. You know what I mean? And I would agree that the intention of the action is incorrect, but I don't think that on its own makes the action incorrect.
Sure, but just like we talked about with the what is it called? Sorry, with Trump giving it to the states, us allowing it to happen, and if someone does it for that reason, it would be the same. It would be the same endpoint.
No, it wouldn't be the same endpoint because I disagree with the intention, but I still don't think that it bears relevancy to determine that the action is murder. Sure,
but just like Trump might not agree with the intention of it being completely banned, do you see what I'm trying to say? Like,
I don't.
Okay, so
he is culpable for the real world material outcome of 66 million American women and girls being denied access to abortion in our states. And he is in part responsible for the 60 great victims per day that have been denied access to abortion. And the reason there's a difference here is because if these federal codifications legislation did exist and women and girls did have access, well, we wouldn't see that result anymore, right? However, right, like even in a world where abortion is banned in all circumstances, like some women are still going to possess that intention / desire to like
Of
abort the
course.
fetus growing in their uterus because it has Down syndrome. So that's true under both worldviews, right? But what isn't true under a worldview of Donald Trump lost the election would be those 60 pregnant victims of rape being denied access to abortion every single day, or the 66 million American women and girls not having access to elective abortions in the first place. But my question for you is, why do you think that abortion should be banned?
The majority of abortions that are being done now are usually for almost, whenever I say no reason, I mean no reason that they couldn't carry the baby to full term. For an example, it's not because of life of the mother. It's not because of rape or incest.
Yeah, just like elective circumstances. So why do you think that abortion should be banned in elective circumstances?
Yep. So, can you please explain what you mean by elective circumstances?
Circumstances outside of the life of the mother, rape, or incest.
Yep. So, because my belief is that, and I don't, I'll try my best not to pull religion into this, but my belief is that it is a living being. At conception, that is whenever it shows signs of life, and therefore we should, give it the rights that us normal people have, or us people.
Are you a vegan?
No.
Well, that's a contradiction. You just told us that it should have the right to life and be like protected through legislation because it's a living being. Cows are
I get living human.
Okay. Do you think that our government should enforce legislation to forcibly prevent doctors working in hospitals from pulling the plugs on branded patients with the consent of the family?
I guess that would depend on the being itself. So I wouldn't, if it's just because the family consented, then I would agree that. I mean, to be honest, I guess my viewpoint, this is a little bit more personal. Like I don't have a DNR, so
okay. I mean, yeah, if I don't either. So if either of us got into crash, we become brain dead. We have a permanent lack of all cognitive function forever, and the only reason why we're alive is because of external life support. Right? We're still humans that are alive. Okay. Right. If our family consents to a doctor pulling the plug on us when they know this with certainty, right? Did that doctor murder us?
Sure. I guess I might not understand it fully, but to stay intellectually consistent, I will agree that yes, then I would be against pulling the plug.
Okay. So do you think it should be banned to do that?
Like I said, if I wanted to be intellectually consistent, then yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're like
I don't know the ins
you're
and outs of
describing a
it.
predicate desire to to stay intellectually consistent. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
But is that something that you actually believe? Is that something that you find to be the case? You think that pulling the plug on branded patients should be banned?
I would say that I haven't done too much research specifically into like someone who's brain dead or you know.
Yeah. What do you want to know about brain dead people that I could help you do like research on the spot for?
I guess anything, because I haven't looked at it at all.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
So brain death is basically where the functions of a person cease to exist. They're gone. We're gone. You know, like our conscious experiences, our sentient experiences, our hopes, dreams, and desires, dead. Right. Yep. However, right, our body, right, is being kept alive by a machine. Right.
Yep.
And that machine is pumping our heart. That machine is circulating our blood. That machine is oxidizing our blood. That machine is functioning our livers, our bladders, all of our organs. And that's the way we would stay alive indefinitely. And what the current, system of medical hospitals in this country and others does is, well, if the family of this person that is connected to the brain dead, connected to the life support that's brain dead, wants to disconnect them and in their life, they're within their rights to do that. And I agree they should be in their rights to do that. I don't really think that brain dead patient is too valuable. I mean, they don't really have a life in a little bit more of a metaphorical, non-biological sense. And I don't think it's like murder if a doctor were to pull the plug on them.
Sure. Okay. I guess my question would be relating that to a baby in the womb or a fetus in the womb. How? Because I guess I don't know on this stance, but like when does cognizance show it during pregnancy?
Yeah, like low levels of like alpha and theta brainwaves develop at 7 weeks. However, like sufficient function in order to deploy a level of sentience occurs at 20 through 24 weeks. However, this is a pivot away from the question that I asked you. Once again, just relating back to this idea of you think it's murder that should be criminalized for a doctor to pull the plug on a brain dead patient in the hospital.
Yep. Wait, can you repeat that one more time?
Do you like truly believe that it is murder for a doctor to pull a plug on one of these brain dead patients in the hospital?
No, of course not.
Okay, all right. Well, this is ultimately going to be a contradiction in your stance, right? Because that brain dead patient is human and alive, just like the fetus. So when you tell me that you think it's murder to kill the fetus because it's human and alive, right? Well, that's not a sufficient stance since you have other beliefs in which contradict that.
Yep. Okay. So, but whenever I asked the question that you corrected me with the pivot because it was a pivot, could you? I don't know if you remember that question, but I believe it was the cognizance. What time does a baby show cognizance? You answered with
cognitive function. Yeah, low levels of alpha and theta brainwaves at 7 weeks, but sufficient amount of function in order to deploy sentience at like 20 through 24 weeks.
Yep. So the brain waves that are seen at 7 weeks, is that seen in brain dead patients?
I'm unsure. I don't know enough to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. I was just trying to see if it was
because the reason why I'm unsure about that is because brain dead patients do describe like some low level of like function in the brain stem, right? It's very low level, and I think it would take like a neurologist to discern, what is present at 6 or 7 weeks at a fetus, and if this is comparable to like the neurological function in the brainstem of a brain dead patient.
Sure. Okay. And that's something I can also do. I'll do some more research on because obviously you had a good point. So, but the other stance was immigration. I think that obviously.
For like literally whatever reason, I don't know why it does this. When I plug in like a USB into my computer, it just turns off my camera.
Sorry, no. Like whole PC.
Are we back?
Yeah, man, we're back. I know that nobody could see me now. I know that the screen is black. I'm working on it like as we're talking here.
I'll wait.
Go. All right, take it away, man. I don't know.
Yep. So I think I stopped at. I think you and I would both agree that the Biden-Harris administration did not do at the border. There were tens of thousands of people coming across.
Man, I'm sorry. I got to figure out some shit on the computer here. Get back live. I'm gonna go to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you so much for popping up.
Yep. Take care.
Hello and welcome back into the YouTube stream, everybody. I appreciate you. We're on part 2 of episode 139 of One Liberal versus 100 Trump supporters. I apologize that this is like the second stream of the day, y'all. I don't know why, but I'm now figuring out that whenever I plug in a USB into my computer, that my computer shuts down. So it's super duper weird. I don't know why it does this. I'm happy that we've like finally figured out that it does do this. Because if you are a frequent viewer of like my YouTube lives and whatnot, you'll see that like I shut down my computer accidentally a bit. In the past, I've like said I thought it was because I'm just like accidentally clicking like the power off button. Now I'm learning that that's actually not it at all. That's actually like not why. It continues to power down. It just will like power down whenever I plug in a USB into the computer, which is like really, really, really weird. That has to be some like weird technical issue. Someone in the chat says he was getting too more kicking him is odd. I'm sorry. I'm resetting my YouTube stream. Like I accidentally just like the YouTube stream ended, so I gotta weed through that and figure that out. I apologize, everybody. Motherboard driver issues. Yeah, it's something that I should look into because I mean, this is like I do this like every single day. Maybe getting like a USB. Yeah, a USB hub would be like an easy fix. Great. Okay, everyone, do just kind of give us a second. As well as I really hope that Sid is watching right now. Sid, if you are watching, I did see the $200 super chat over on that YouTube stream. Thank you so much for the love, Sid. Please show some love to Sid down below in that comment section. Thank you so much. If everybody watching can please show some love to Sid for the $200 super chat, that would be so kind. And if any of you guys happen to see Sid's $200 super chat, it would just absolutely mean the world to me if you could kind of like copy and paste her message, because I want to make sure that I am able to read that. Please show some love to Sid. That is SYD in all of the live chats. It looks like we got everything back together here. We tried to do that fast. Holy shit. I can't believe that my computer literally turns off every time I plug a USB in. That is so annoying. But now we know, so it'll hopefully never happen again. Now, we're going to go ahead and hop back into the debates. I apologize for everybody over on the YouTube stream. It looks like we lost a lot of people, which is super unfortunate. But we're going to go and load up that next guest right now, everybody. So do just kind of give us a second here while we're focusing on getting that next guest loaded in. Welcome in. What's going on, Danny? Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I guess so.
Dude, Danny, no, man. Why do you support?
I've never seen a guy eat an Uncrustable like a taco.
Well,
that's crazy.
Now you have.
That's crazy.
Now you have.
Are you doing nicotine commercials?
Obviously
not. Do we know what's in the palm of your hands when you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, it's gonna be an anxiety pen, low bro.
Oh, anxiety pen. I use those too.
Very nice, man. Looks like we have something to bond over. Now,
have you ever seen the actual physical sight of what happens when there is a baby that is made in the womb?
Have I ever seen a video conception? I actually have, yeah.
What happens?
The sperm goes into the egg. I mean,
yeah. So
you can kind of imagine what it would look like.
Once that happens, what are you looking at?
Cellular reproduction begins.
No, what do you see?
What do you
with your eyes, buddy?
You see
with your eyes,
cellular
buddy.
Reproduction begin?
A flash, bright light, right?
No, you actually don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. I've heard this. I know what you're referencing here because I used to do a bunch of God debates. So what you're referencing is research done by scientists where they put magnesium or zinc inside.
You talk so fast. You talk so fast. You sound like a fucking kid, dude. Seriously, calm your ass down and listen to what other people have to say, because you know what? All you do is
fuck. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next guest. Everyone, give us a minute here to get the... What the fuck? Okay. All right. Everyone, just give us a minute, y'all. Be patient while we're working on getting the next guest up here. If you're curious about what he was talking about to do with that flash, it's not a real thing. It doesn't exist. What he's referencing is research done by scientists where they put either magnesium or zinc inside of an egg and a sperm that artificially generated a flash upon the moment of conception. It was artificially produced for research purposes to see when exactly the moment of conception occurs. What's going on, Mountain Girl and Ryan? You guys look like you're in Maga Nation over here. Welcome in. Mountain Girl, Ryan, are you guys here? Ryan, Maga Girl. Okay, they're not here, so we're gonna kick them and move on. Here we go, everybody. Go ahead and put a MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to pop up and join. Y'all gotta put a MAGA down below with your age in that chat if you do want to pop up and join. Keep in mind that we are just looking for some Trump supporters. Holy cow. All right, moving on to the next guest here, everyone. Just excuse me, dude, just give us a minute. Welcome in, Meg. Do you support Trump? Meg is not here. We're going to move on to the next guest. Put a MAGA down below in that chat with your age. I feel like I'm going crazy because of how many times per day I have to repeat that shit. Okay, we got Joe loaded up. Here we go, everybody. Oh my God. Yo, dude. Sid with a 25 over on Venmo. Appreciate you for that love, Sid. Sid says about her $200 donation, which once again, thank you, Sid. I'm sorry that the stream ended before I could thank you for that. Sid said, I basically just said how much I appreciate the community you've built. And even when the world feels icky, you, Parker, in this whole space always pulls me out of that headspace. Seriously, thank you for everything as always, Sid. You've been such an instrumental member of the community. I love and appreciate you so much. Everybody loves and appreciates you so much. Please give it up for Sid, y'all. Show some love to Sid down below. As well as Libby with the $5 on YouTube, on Venmo saying, I tried to find Sid's comment in the super chat, but I can't see it now on the older live. lives. Well, don't worry, because she was able to come out here and repeat herself for us. So we appreciate you so much for doing that extra effort so I can make sure I saw your message. As well as Danielle. Danielle, thank you so much for the $50 over on PayPal. Danielle, that is so incredibly kind of you. Show some love to Danielle down below. Danielle says, motherhood is the #1 reason why women fall into poverty, especially in countries that denies support, SNAP, Medicare, tax pursuit of child care for absent fathers, parental leave, etc. This guest is not pro-life, he's pro-birth. Yes, actually, Danielle, I remember that we used to talk about like that the pragmatic side of things do that a lot more, and I think that we should get back around to doing that. That is, I think that's important to reference. Thank you so much for the much needed reminder of like what those empirical outcomes are and why they're so important to talk about. So thank you. Anyways, Joe, welcome in. Go to unmute that mic. I'd love to have a chat with you, brother.
Hey, what's up? Are we allowed to say words like AB? Are we gonna get censored if we say that?
Yeah, you could say abortion. I don't
Sure.
really want to talk about abortion.
Okay.
I've been talking about abortion like all day long. So
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of talking about abortion either. I do want to say one thing off topic though, is that Uncrustable is terrible for you.
Well,
and I might support Trump, but I'm not. I don't. It's not that I hate you. So
it has all
I'd
my
say maybe don't eat
macros.
that.
It has all my micros and macros, bro. I eat Uncrustables and the crumble cookies for lunch every day.
The other thing too is that I saw your fitness photos, and this is off topic, but if you look into finasteride and minoxidil, it'll stop converting your DHT, and that should prevent any further hair loss. I'm 33, so I'm going through it right now.
I'm actually already on them.
Good. So then you already know. But also avoid things like SARMs, because I don't know why you're like, what, 20 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you shouldn't be converting DHT that quickly, but maybe there's a sign of high testosterone. I don't know.
Anyways, man, take it away. Tell us why you support Trump.
I support Trump because while he might have what you might call trait levels of grandiose narcissism, at the very least he wants to be loved by the majority of people, and that indicates that he has a vested interest in doing what's best for the majority of Americans. And I see that in the policies that he takes. Whereas I don't see that on the left. I see kind of like this pop culture debating, and I see a lot of people who are saying what other people want them to say in order to profit, and kind of get donations.
I think that you just made a super big issue in your argument there. I think that he does have a desire to be loved. I don't think that necessarily implies that he has a... I don't think that necessarily implies that he has a vested interest in doing what's best for most people. I think that he just has a vested interest in convincing most people that he's doing what's best for them. And I think that it's much easier for him as a con man to deceive people into falsely supporting them on the basis of propaganda compared to actually doing what's best for them. Because doing what's best for like low-income Americans, doing what's best for like middle-class Americans, and like 9 out of 10 scenarios is not in the best interest of like the ruling elite, high-class income earners, right? And I think this is why maybe like I'll even give you an example of this. Like he passed that big, beautiful bill. He never talked about the fact that it cost nearly $4 trillion. He never talked about the fact that because of the cuts to Medicaid, SNAP, student free school lunches, energy, the intellectuals in the arts, etc., that the Center on Budget Priorities tells us it's going to reduce the after-tax income of 50% of income earners. He only talks about like, oh, no tax on tips. You know what I mean? So he just tries to get everybody to ignore like the bad parts of this bill, deceiving them into believing that it's liberal propaganda and they don't even exist. And that is more so how he has been able to achieve such success and support, not actually by doing what's in the best interest of most people.
Well, just because I support Trump doesn't mean I support the big, beautiful bill. And I definitely don't support, indebting our country and future generations by money printing infinite money. I disagree with that.
Right. I know, but I was just kind of giving an example of how he doesn't actually do what's best for the interest of the people. He just convinces people that
You're saying a lot. I like to respond piece by piece
My bad.
rather than you interrupting me at my first point. So that being said, going back to him being, quote unquote, a narcissist, again, you talked about the ruling class, and I think that's true. We can't say whether or not he's actually acting in our vested interest, right? But we know that's true for any politician across the board. And on the left, in the Democratic side, we've seen a huge level of subservience to the corporate machine, right? And they take marching orders. Even the left side of the Supreme Court takes marching orders from the Chamber of Commerce, which is the basically top 100 most powerful corporations in our country. They write amicus briefs, and then you see in their judiciary opinions, they basically copy those. So that applies to both Republicans and Democrats. That being said, again, I see a lot of the people who make Trump their target of. Just let me make this one last point.
Okay.
People who despise Trump and they don't like him because he's a narcissist and they don't trust him because they think that he's acting in his own interest. I see this is true of most people. They see the characteristics in themselves that they don't like and therefore they attack it. And there's a lot of covert and communal narcissists on the left that see that narcissism in Trump. And that's exactly because they recognize it and they recognize what he's doing. But at the same time, I would take an open crook, somebody who's grifting meaning open, rather than someone who's like a mega church preacher who's, they have sort of this ambiance or affective personality. And I'd say I kind of attribute it to you, Parker, and all the other left-leaning guys, because I know you were a Trump supporter 4 years ago. So I think really what you're trying to do is you're trying to profit. And I would challenge you to try to make the world a better place through personal responsibility and accountability and actions on a personal level. And I don't think what you're doing here is helpful because I think it increases divisiveness across the country. And I think it's very easy to talk down and around when you talk as quickly as you do to,
Dean.
A populace where a majority of people on both sides are uneducated.
I know that you were a Trump supporter when you were 16 years old, Dean. I know that you were MAGA when you were 16 years old, Dean. And because
I wasn't,
and then how
I supported Ron
Joe,
Paul.
What was it? It would allow if you could just give me a second here to finish. And Dean, because
but you can't tell me who I am.
And Dean, because
you don't know,
listen,
you could ask me.
Listen, okay, now you're saying that I can't tell you who you are. Well, you just tried to tell me who I am. You tried to say because I was a Trump supporter 4 years ago that this must mean I have some hidden intention of deceit or grift that I want to hide today. So I
think your donations. I think your donations prove that. You're personally profiting and you're taking advantage of your audience.
How am I taking advantage of my audience?
You know that Americans are suffering. They don't have a lot of money, and that they're donating it to a person like you. You probably make millions off of this. Let's be real. You don't need the donations. You certainly make more than the majority of Americans.
It'd be fun if I made millions.
But it'd be nice if you spent your time volunteering or actually going out and doing something rather than sitting on here and creating echo chambers.
Yeah. So, point number one, if you think that my lives are an echo chamber, you obviously are misled. I mean, look at what we're doing right now. Two people that disagree with one another talking. Point done. Puke over. Point number two, you're saying that I'm a grift because I accept donations for the work that I do. Think about it this way, man. For a typical exchange of monetary resources for good, commodity, entertainment services, etc., right? They would require payment in exchange for said goods. What do? I don't. Anybody could watch me. Anybody could tune into the live streams. Anybody could learn. But this is my job, and my full-time job, in fact. I have bills to pay. I want to keep a roof over my head. I want to keep dinner on the table. So I say, hey, you don't have to support me, but if you want to, you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio. And I don't think the fact that I accept donations proves me to be a grifter, disingenuous, scam artist, etc. Because we also have to explore exactly what it means to be a grifter. To be a grifter makes this implication that you're falsely representing yourself for monetary gain. I don't falsely represent myself for monetary gain. There is not a single fact that I share, an argument that I make that I don't believe in. And honestly, if you've watched my streams often, you'll know that the arguments I make are nearly impenetrable. I have done so much research to substantiate what I believe in. I've heard nearly every single counter argument to every single one of my beliefs. I've been doing these 4-hour debate streams 7 days a week for the damn near last 2 years. So, one thing that I know is every single possible counter argument against everything I believe in. And if there comes a counter argument along that simply does refute what I believe, and then I change my mind. So if you're telling me that I don't genuinely believe in what I say, even though what I say a lot of the time is irrefutable positions backed by fact, reason, and logic, you're basically calling me evil. How evil would somebody have to be in order to see the truth right in front of them, have access to literally every single resource to justify that it's true, and every single counter rebuttal to test its consistency, and willingly choose not to believe it? Have you ever thought about that? How just pure evil I would have to be in order to not believe in what I say? And one last point here before I pass the mic back to you. I think a lot of this is rooted in jealousy, Joe. Now, I get it. Jealousy is a normal human experience. We all experience jealousy. In fact, I remember times in my youth where I was jealous because I saw people that were doing better than I was that were around my same age or older, right? But like the mature thing to do is to attempt to deal with that jealousy in a productive manner. Maybe use that to fuel your own drive and not come on live in front of 11,000 people and make an embarrassment out of yourself in a space that is supposed to be reserved for intellectual discourse on politics.
So first off, I'm not jealous, and I don't feel any need to defend that because it's simply not true. Second point is that, what did you just say? You made a huge, very sweeping claim, and you said that I said you're evil, which I didn't say. I didn't say that at all. And I don't believe in good or evil, so that's a huge assumption that you're making. Following that, you also said that all of your arguments have been presented with counter arguments, every possible one. That's both grandiose and illogical, because I can think of several. And I've watched your lives, and I've seen the caliber of people you have come up. You know that half of human beings are below average intelligence. You're not debating people of high caliber, and you're not being presented with counter arguments. But again, I don't see how what you're doing is any different than a megachurch pastor, and I don't see how it's any different than what Trump is doing, because you have a vested interest in gaining the most views. This is called outrage media. So you're going to do what's going to get you the most popularity, and the fact that you're taking donations shows that you have that interest, and it does indicate that you are showing high levels of your own trait narcissism, and you have the effect of a megachurch pastor. You know that. I'm telling you that right now. You have the blonde hair, blue eyes, the smile. I know people just like you. I've met them in my life. You don't know anything about me, but you could ask
Blonde
me.
hair, blue
You
eyes,
could show
and a
you could show some
smile?
cognitive you should show some cognitive empathy, and if you wanted to know about my life, I could tell you, and then maybe you could make some, proper assessments of who I am.
Well, I mean, he's
but you have a
basically-
lot more.
He's basically calling white men evil.
You have a lot more. I don't believe in good or evil.
What-
There's a lot more public information about you.
What
out
an
there
argument
than
to come
me.
from somebody on the right. What an argument to come from somebody on the right. Okay, listen. So you're telling me that I have like a vested interest in getting as many views as possible because of outrage media and the impact that would have on the algorithm of any content creator. You know what? Instead of me giving you my thoughts about how I deal with the algorithmic incentive of creating outrage media, I'm actually going to go ahead and direct you to YouTube, where I want you to type in Dean Withers, Aspen Institutes of Ideas, where I took a day or two off unpaid to travel to Aspen, Colorado to speak on a live panel about how I deal with the algorithmic incentive for the production of outrage media and how it's something that I don't attempt to engage in, and I try to stay truth apt and oriented. So I mean, that's definitely, something that you could do. I feel like that would be great. And real quick, before we hop into the next subject, there's a couple people that I want to thank real quick. Like Paul, thank you for the $50 over on YouTube Super Chat. Here's some money so you could become one of the top 100 companies and control the Chamber of Commerce and thus run the country and make things better. Yo, let's go, Paul. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the grift slush fund. I might use that to buy some A5 Wagyu steak on a private jet with $1 million in my Coach duffel bag. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Everybody show some love to Paul down below. As well as Rainy. Thank you for the $50 over on Venmo. Thank you so much, Rainy. Everybody show some love to Rainy down below. Thank you, Rainy. Show some love to Rainy. Thank you. With the $50 as well. Rainy says, love watching insecure and jealous men embarrass themselves on your live day after day. Man, I don't even know what I did to cause it, man. I wanted to debate Joe on politics. He came up here. He was talking about
Let's
the
back to
food I
politics.
eat and like DHT production. I thought we were having a good chat. Next thing I know, he's talking about how I'm a grifter, and it's unreal. But thank you for the $50, Rainy. Everybody show some love to Rainy. And then also, oh my God, Beth! Oh my goodness, Beth with the $100 donation. I want to see 1,000 W Beths in the live stream comment section right now. Beth said, please stop taking advantage of me by educating thousands and thousands of people. Beth, I'm so sorry for taking advantage of you. I'm so sorry, Beth. Thank you for the $100 donation. That is so incredibly kind of you. As well as Richard with the $10. Thank you so much for the love. I really appreciate you for the love, Richard. Then Bree with the $10 on Venmo saying, Dean, stop stealing my money that I'm willingly donated to you. Bree, I'm so sorry for stealing the money from you. That is my bad. It is my bad, Bree. As well as ALOY with the $20 donation over on PayPal saying, love you, Dean. I love you too. Thank you so much. And then Owen with the $15 over on PayPal saying that even this guy's insults have contradictions in them. You want to be surprised. Thank you for the love, Owen. And then also Wesley, thank you so much for the $15 over over on PayPal, Ashley with the $10 over on PayPal. Thank you all so very much for the love, as well as Gabby LA for the $10. Thank you so much for the love. I appreciate you guys so much. I really do appreciate everyone so much for your kindness and love and the generosity. You guys have been so incredibly kind today. And guys, thank you so much. Now, once again, I mean, in a sentence or less, if you want to kind of like wrap it up here.
So let's transition back to politics.
Okay.
Let's transition back to politics. But
That's
I
fine.
do recognize everything you're saying is the offense of what I've already argued. That being said, let's not talking about abortion because I don't have a strong view on abortion. I'm not a woman. But let's use it as a corollary.
That's why you support Trump.
Let's use that as a corollary because I think that him actually. One instance is in the case of abortion where it's been devolved to state courts. I think that's perfectly in line with our constitution and our system. I think it's a very good thing because human systems are inherently hierarchical. And when you have a winner-takes-all system and it's determined by the federal government what local laws concerning abortion is, it allows there to be basically a system that doesn't actually operate for everybody. And
Isn't this what the
we have
Confederates argued?
our system. No, this is what the founding fathers argued, and it's based on Plato's Republic. It's the idea that we have independent polises and communities based around certain values, because if there is a strong man or a would-be king or somebody who came into power, sure, you can have a philosopher king who's meant, who has good intentions for people, but even when that person leaves, if you have that sort of winner-takes-all system, then it'll eventually become dominated by totalitarians and authoritarians. So that's exactly why we have the federal cake system that we have, and that's exactly why we have states in order to have, locally appropriate laws. That's the entire foundation of our system.
So what you're describing, this winner-takes-all scenario, where we have an enforced federal law for the total jurisdiction of the country, is exactly what the Union did when they won the Civil War.
That's actually not the case. That the fight was over two different things. It was over states' rights for slavery, and it's also whether or not our state has a right to secede or not. And you'll see a shift in, you say the Union, but the Union was is an alliance of northern states, and the precursor to that was the Hartford Convention. And during the War of 1812, they actually supported secession. And this is the same group of people that opposed it during the Union. So no, that was not their goal, and that was not adjudicated. You can't have a legal precedent adjudicated through victory through war.
Okay, so I said that the goal of the Union was to enforce and have federal legislation that applied to all constituents of the country. That was a goal in the sense of not wanting to allow states the ability to legalize slavery, right?
You're misconstruing legal terms because it has nothing to do with legislation.
I'm not really using legal terms.
It was a question of, if anything, it was a question of executive privilege and whether or not legislation as well as codified rights and those that were uncodified can be impeded for a national interest by the executive through things like the executive order and military action, as well as martial law.
So do you think that you agreed with the Confederacy?
If that's the conclusion you're drawing, you're not actually listening to what I'm saying.
It wasn't a conclusion, it was a question.
No, I do not agree with the Confederacy. I think that the
so I just
entire
want to
basis.
you do think...
I think the entire basis of the United States is a union that we've all opted into, and once we've opted into a union, it's no different than perhaps what is ethical in a marriage.
Check this shit out.
Which is to stay committed.
Check this shit out. I think that the winner should take all, or we should have federal protections for human rights, right? And I think that it's a human rights violation to infringe upon a woman's bodily autonomy without good reason. And I think that
that's not a codified right. We have codified rights, and they are federally protected. And those are codified in the Bill of Rights, and those are also codified in judicial precedent.
I'm not giving you a legal argument. I'm not giving you a legal argument. I'm giving you a moral argument.
So you're switching back and forth based on what you want to, based on what's convenient for you, because you were positing a legal argument earlier. Now you're switching to a question of ethics. But
no, can I ask you to quickly repeat in like 2 sentences or less for the legal argument that I was positing? Because I think that you were just likely you were misunderstand. 1 second, Joe. I think that you were likely misunderstanding what I was saying, because I've always upheld this same exact argument for why I think that abortion should be protected at the federal level. So I think that you were misunderstanding what I had said earlier. If I said anything earlier to explain why you're now saying that I'm switching between a legal argument and a moral argument. So just to clarify, the moral argument that you're saying I'm switching to is a moral argument surrounding what are human rights, and should human rights be protected for the most people possible. So what was the legal argument that I gave earlier that I'm now equivocating to as a moral argument?
So you need to reframe that argument if you want to be more clear. But the way what you said was
I'm not asking.
that it
So
was
so I can give you more
what
clarity on my
hold
moral
on, hold
argument,
on.
but I'm
You
asking you
can't
to describe the
can't
legal argument.
you can't interrupt me. You can't interrupt me while I'm talking because I can't get out a full idea. Okay.
Well, I just want to make sure that you're
these are
answering the
complex.
question.
These are well. I'll answer the question, but I also want to say that you just said that a winner takes all system is good, and we can recognize that ethics are very subjective. Some people might say that it's okay to murder you. It doesn't make. I don't know if I'm allowed to say murder on TikTok. Unalive you. It doesn't make it okay. And when you have a winner.
I didn't say that a winner takes all scenario is good. I said that human
Anybody
rights
who
should be
gets
protected at the
power
federal
can
level.
apply their ethics, their subjective ethics. So you don't want a winner takes all system because that's autocratic and that's actually fascist. That's the basis of fascism.
Okay.
Is paternalism based on a winner take.
I'm now muting you because you're misunderstanding what I said. I just said that human rights should be protected at the federal level. And once again, you're still not answering the question because the question that I asked you is what was a legal argument that I gave you earlier that I'm now equivocating to and in between with a moral argument?
Legal rights are already protected by the federal government. And what you said was that the Civil War was fought over whether or not the federal government had the right to make legislation and protect rights, which was already ruled on. That's been ruled on since the beginning of. That's been ruled on since Marbury versus Madison.
There is a misunderstanding. So I think that you're more focused on like listening to talk, like not listening to listen. So what I'll ask you,
I'm listening to everything you're saying.
So
I don't
you
know if
asked
you're
me not to
communicating
interrupt you, but
effectively.
you could interrupt me. I think that's quite a hypocritical double standard. So now I'm going to start interrupting you too.
Go ahead.
So anyways, I'm going to go back to what I was saying. So no, my argument for
Let's just not tell
now
each
you're
other
back
what
to
we're
a second
saying because you're
interruption.
changing what.
Now you have a mute on you, Joe. I understand that it is very typical.
Don't tell me.
To get very
Don't tell me
flustered.
I'm saying
There's your
things I'm
third-
not saying.
There's your third interruption. That's really funny coming from the man that said I was attempting to tell you that I do believe that a winner takes all situation is good. So I don't think that you have any ground to say don't tell me what I was saying when that's not what I was saying. But I'd also like to clarify, Joe, I've not superimposed any view on top of yourself. I've not spoken for you, and I've not put in words in your mouth. Because this whole time, I've actually been trying to tell you what I think, what I feel, how I think things should be. Right? So I've actually not been interpreting any argument that you've made because you really haven't made an argument. But now I'm going to go back to what I was saying, Joe, and I'm going to ask
made an argument.
I'm going to ask you to please listen to me. I think that would be great. So
This is all being recorded, so everything you said will be recorded. You have to realize that. So changing it now doesn't matter. And I did make an argument. My argument was
always recorded.
My
Joe, you can't interrupt me,
argument
buddy.
was the devolution of power is a good thing.
Thank you so much. I
Trump
think
is doing.
that I'm going to have you stop talking here so I could finish speaking, Joe. That's how conversations work. They're a two-way street. I understand that, part of human nature is to get flustered when in the wrong. I mean, we were talking about this at length around 30 minutes ago. I don't know if you were here for that or not. One quick announcement that I just want to give to you and everybody else that likes to come up onto these live streams is I just want to point out real quick that being wrong is not an ending point. It's not the finish line. It's not the stop. Being wrong is a point of opportunity where you could explore greater truth. So now that you're getting flustered because you think that I may be proving you wrong, I'm just going to ask you to drop it, right? Expose yourself and be willing.
I have the same message for you.
Dialogue. Yeah, that applies
It's okay
to
to be.
me.
It's
That
okay
applies to
that
me and everybody else. But now I'm going to go
it's
back
okay
to
that
the
you're
argument.
wrong. So it's good you're telling yourself that.
I'm going to go. Oh, okay. All right, Joe. I'm going to go back to the argument that I gave you. Very simple. I think that human rights should be protected by the federal government. I think it is a human rights violation to infringe upon anybody's bodily autonomy without good reason. I don't think that there's any good reason to implement abortion bans infringing upon a woman's practical bodily autonomy. For that reason, I see it as a human rights violation. And because I see it as a human rights violation, and I believe that human rights should be protected by the federal government, I think that women and girls' access to abortion should also, in turn, be protected by the federal government.
There is no enumerated right to have a proactive medical service conducted upon you as a point of bodily autonomy. That does not exist in the Bill of Rights, and that exists in no judicial precedent. And if you're arguing that that should exist, then it has to be created in an amendment. But it doesn't currently exist underneath our system. So, and I would encourage you to practice some philosophical and intellectual honesty and apply that to other areas, including whether or not there should have been a mandatory COVID shot, as well as to the right to bear arms, the right to freedom of speech, even in cases where it might be discriminatory against another human being, which I don't personally support. But if we're going to make that argument, then we have to also say that that's the case with all these other enumerated rights, because you're talking about rights that aren't actually even enumerated.
All right, phenomenal. So you gave me two separate responses. The first response that you gave me was, well, Dean, that's not an enumerated right. And the second response you gave me was, well, I'm sure I could bring up a bunch of different scenarios where in order to maintain consistency upon your beliefs, you'd also have to hold to particular conclusions within these other senses. So we could go through those other senses. Once I'm able to describe my position, you could happily try to make like a counter argument to show that in order for me to maintain logical consistency, I also have to believe in like mandatory or like non-mandatory vaccine shots. You could make that argument if you want. That's fine. But obviously you haven't made it yet, so you can't just draw the conclusion without making the argument. Now, I'm going to respond to the first part of your statement, where I told you that human rights should be protected at the federal level. I think that infringing upon somebody's human right without good reason is a human rights violation. And I think that's what's happening to women in the context of access to abortion. So you're right. That's not an enumerated right. In fact, that was what the Dobbs decision was, that the 14th Amendment and protections to privacy did not grant an enumerated or non-enumerated right to access abortion for women. I'm not making a legal argument, though, because I don't believe that we define human rights through a legal lens. I don't think that legality should inform us of what human rights are or are not. Think about it this way, right? Like in Germany in the 1920s, I think that people had a human right to life, even if they're Jewish. The legal system in Germany at the time disagreed. I don't think that changed that fact. Or like law in America, in some states, 16-year-olds have the legal right to consent to sex. Okay. Well, I don't think that they actually can consent just because the law says so. And basically what this amounts to is the fact that I'm making a normative claim, an argument of what should be the case. Right? And I'm not defining a human right based upon what the law says. I'm defining human rights based upon what my normative framework of morality would say, right? So, in other words, I'm saying that it should be considered a legal human right. And that's why I advocate for said federal protections.
No, what you're saying is that your body of ethics is somehow superior to another person's body of ethics. And because the fact that what you're arguing are rights are not enumerated, that suggests that basically what you think is right somehow should be the illegal equivalent of right. And that's a very, very dangerous position to be taking, because just because you believe that your way of thinking is right and your judgment on ethics is right, you have to realize that if we apply that same standard and we allow anybody who basically has a different conception of rights than you to take power, and they do exactly what you're talking about doing, which is enforcing your system of ethics on others, because not everybody does believe that right to bodily autonomy exists, in the same way that not everyone believes that human fetuses have the right to live, right? But that's another body of ethics, and they would argue the exact same thing. What I see is two groups of people who are both trying to externalize and enforce and I don't support a blanket ban on abortion.
Check this out.
I don't support a blanket ban on gay marriage. I think that's all ridiculous. But I see the exact same psychological mirroring on both sides.
Joe, I got something
and it's
for you.
autocratic.
I got something for you to check out. Are you ready? Do you think that murder should be illegal on the federal level?
I think that murder is illegal on the federal level, but I also understand that there's different. I also understand that there's different statutory definitions of murder, and we could
That's not what I asked you. Let's
we
give
could
you a
take
very
sociological. We could take a sociological interpretation of murder.
Very nice words, but that's not what I asked you.
Manslaughter.
Should me ripping off your grandma's head be illegal on the federal level? Do you think that me ripping off your grandma's head, should that be illegal on the federal level?
I think so, and I think that's almost universally accepted.
Watch this out. Watch this out.
Watch out.
Watch this out. No. 1 second.
They're not.
1 second. Why? Why do you think that should be illegal on the federal level?
Personally, for me, because I think that is a violation of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, or pursuit of property, depending on which philosophy you're referencing.
So in other words, are you saying that a violation of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is wrong, and that's why it should be illegal?
I'm saying that is statutorily and judicially the precedent. I'm not saying whether or not it should be or not, because there is another person out there who would say that.
Okay, then you're not answering my question.
Hold on, there is another.
I'm actually not going to hold on. I'm going to mute you because you just made it clear. You just made it clear that you weren't answering my question, because my question was, do you think this should be illegal on the federal level? And then in your response, you literally said, and I quote, I'm not saying if this should be the case or shouldn't be the case. So, I'm going to mute you because you're not answering my question. And you admitted that you weren't answering my question when you said, I'm not saying that it should or shouldn't be. Okay, well, say it. Should that be illegal on the federal level? Yes or no?
I personally think that it should be illegal. I do not think that my system of ethics should be applied and made the blanket law of the land. That's the difference
awesome.
between me.
So you're saying you personally think
and
that should,
another
no, I'm not going to allow you to gish gallop. I'm not going to allow you to gish gallop this. These are simple
getting
questions.
Heated. You're crashing out. You're crashing out.
I'm actually not going to be heated. I'm being assertive so we could try to follow a line of logic.
No,
here.
you're crashing.
So I'm not crashing out. I'm being assertive because I want you to follow the argument.
You're being passive aggressive.
I'm not even trying to be passive aggressive. I'm just trying to put like the guardrails up on the bowling alley lane to get you to follow.
You're trying to control the conversation because you can't
make one
benefit
point
from long form debate.
I'm trying to benefit
because you can't have. You're not communicating complex ideas.
Well, you're equivocating between long form complex debate and gish galloping. So I don't want you to gish gallop. All I want you to tell us is you did just inform us all that you think it should be illegal to rip grandma's heads off on the federal levels. Okay, why do you think that should be illegal?
Great use of Darvo. Way to reframe what you're doing as what I'm doing. And I think
calling me a narcissist is not answering my question.
There's times where ripping a person's grandma's head off is legal. There's times where it's self-defense. There's times where you have psychotic episodes, and it's actually not ruled to be murder. So again, that's a gray area. That's actually not a.
Okay, then we'll make it even more clear.
And any jurisdiction, including federal.
Tell me why you think it should be illegal on the federal level to rip a grandma's head off outside of a psychotic episode, not defending yourself. Why should that be illegal?
Maybe she's in an accident and you have to conduct an emergency surgery and you're trying to render aid and you accidentally do it.
So we're going to use the term unjustifiably to account for all of these scenarios where it can seemingly be justified. Watch this. Why do you think it should be illegal to unjustifiably rip grandmothers' heads off on the federal level?
I didn't use that term, and that's not a legal term that I'm gonna fall into because
not a legal term.
You have to. The entire purpose of the legal system is to find the most just outcome. So you can't use this. The term justice does not exist under the letter of law. There's no such thing as. You could use something like unjust enrichment, but there's no codified.
Sorry, I muted you because you're not answering
justice
my question.
is adjudicated through the courts.
Okay, check this out.
I don't think you understand the legal system enough to be having this conversation.
Check this out. I think my understandings are perfectly clear, as well as the understandings of everybody else watching this live. Watch this, okay? Everybody, this is gonna be cool. Should torturing newborn babies be federally illegal? Yes or no?
I think it should be, and I think it is. But I don't think that what I think should be the case has to be the law of the land.
Question.
That's the difference between me and you.
Question. So I asked the question, do you think that torturing babies should be illegal at the federal level? You said yes. You said yes, you do think that. So now in 3 sentences or less, tell us why you think torturing babies should be illegal at the federal level.
You're not listening to me because I've made 2 different points. I said that on a personal and ethical level, it should be. The second point is I don't think that my system of ethics should be winner takes all and it should be one size fits all. And that's exactly what you're advocating.
Okay.
So answer that point.
So,
stop focusing on half
So then you're not answering the question. Because remember,
focusing on half the clock because you're trying to pull me into a cyclical tangent that I don't want to participate in because
So you don't want to participate in telling us
you're not
watch this, Joe. So remember, the question I asked you is
being manipulative.
The question I asked you is why do you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies? Okay, right? Now the reason why you are calling me manipulative for asking
you asked is if it should be.
The reason you are calling me
it should be.
Yes, why that if you think that should be federally illegal.
You just changed.
Right. That is the question I asked you. Now the reason that you are calling me manipulative for me asking you this question, the reason that you're calling me this for asking you this question, the reason that you're calling this a tangent when I'm asking you this question is because you know the answer to the question, why should it be federally illegal to torture babies, is that that's wrong. Right? And if we explore you think it's wrong, that's going to be in relation to, right, whatever your normative ethical / moral claims, principles, etc. would be. And you know if you admit that, then you're going to be refuting this argument that you've been attempting to make that it's somehow fascist and wrong to want to vote for
and enforce legislation on the basis of personal ethical beliefs.
So you're misconstruing.
So in other words,
Misconstrued.
obvious answer to my question
You've misconstrued.
why you think that torturing babies should be federally illegal completely refutes, disputes, and dismantles the argument that you've been trying to make.
You're giving me a
since the
narcissistic
moment-
double blind. You're
since
giving
the
me a yes
moment
or no
that
question.
you've
That's not a
joined.
yes or no answer
Since
because
the
there's
moment-
different degrees of what's wrong.
Okay, no, I didn't even give you a yes or no answer.
For
One
instance,
second,
mur-
Joe, let me
murder
finish.
is more
speaking.
wrong.
He's doing the crash out.
You keep interrupting me. You're not letting. Let me get out a full
Interrupted me.
sentence.
No, because you interrupted me to try
How
to
you
get
know
in a
I'm
full
winning?
sentence.
This is how you know you're losing.
Right. Sorry, the rage bait doesn't work on me anymore, man. I've been doing this for 2 years. It's just like I hear it all day.
No one's rage baiting you. No one's rage baiting you. I'm trying to have an honest discussion. You're not actually listening to what I'm saying.
All right. Let me know, man. Because I'll still.
You're offering me.
All right. We're gonna wait for him. By the way, guys, this is just the assertion of a boundary. I was in the middle of a sentence. He cut me
You're
off.
turning on my mic. No, what you're doing is you're intentionally eliciting a reaction and then you're interrupting.
Buddy.
You're muting me as I.
Yes, I'm still muting you.
It's
because you're still
narcissist.
trying to interrupt the sentence. I was in the middle of.
Manipulative.
Yeah, we know, buddy.
You're losing hard, buddy.
Yeah. Just let me know, because like I said, I was in the middle of a sentence. You cut me off. Like regardless of how you want to attempt to justify you interrupting me, like ultimately speaking, I'm not gonna let you do that.
Want me to walk on eggshells? Only you're allowed to speak, and only you're allowed to tell us when to speak.
No,
that
we're
right
both
there is
allowed-
manipulative.
We're both allowed to speak, but hopefully we could both agree that we're not going to interrupt each other while we speak. I still want to finish the sentence I was in the middle of. Like, if you want to further the conversation, you're going to have to let me finish my sentence. Great.
Can't wait for the video of this to get posted.
I mean, it's already posted and being broadcasted live on YouTube. All right. We found ourselves to a point where you're no longer interrupting me. I'm going to go back to what I said. If you guys watching want to hear Joe speak, well, then he has to finish let me speaking first. Right? Like, obviously, regardless of how Joe wants to frame it, regardless of the things that Joe wants to call me, I was in the middle of a sentence, and Joe interrupted the middle of that sentence because he didn't like what I was saying because it made him look bad. And no, I will refuse to allow somebody to speak when they want to kick me out, they want to interrupt me and stop my speech. All right? Now I'm going to go back to what I was saying. As soon as I'm done, you're more than welcome to speak. This is an inviting environment where differing opinions are supposed to meet and converse. So as soon as I'm done, you could take it away. Okay? But I'm going to finish. It's going to be super quick. We're just going to recap what just happened. You're trying to make an argument that it's somehow wrong to say that we could use our morals to dictate what we think the law should be. I refuted that position of yours by pointing out a very simple question that I asked you. I asked you the question, do you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies? You said yes, Dean. Joe said, yes, Dean, I do think that should be federally illegal. Then Dean asked Joe this following question. I asked you, why do you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies? You started crashing out. When I asked you that question, you called the question manipulative. You called me a narcissist. But once again, now the reason why you won't answer that question is because you know the answer is because you think it's wrong. But if you ultimately say that you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies because you think it's wrong, you are contradicting the notion that you have suggested prior, saying that we can't use our moral beliefs to impose legislation. But the basis of the imposition of legislation would be on some some conservative morality, at least for a certain set of laws. Now that we've gotten to that point, feel free to respond to these culmination of facts. I just want to point something out for the viewers of this conversation. The one thing Joe will not address is why he thinks it should be federally illegal to torture babies. Joe will do anything but address that question. Joe will never give us a concise response to that question. I'm telling you that with certainty. Now, Joe, take it away. But everybody, listen close to what Joe has to say, because he will not tell us why. He will not tell us why he thinks it should be federally illegal to torture babies. He will not tell us why.
So
he thinks that.
You just monologued for 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So let's see if we can go without you interrupting me or without you muting me for 3 minutes and 15 seconds, right? So rather than telling me what I'm saying and telling me what I think, you should listen to what I say and what I think. And the question you asked is whether or not I thought it should be. Now you're changing it to whether or not I thought why it should be. And you're giving me narcissistic double binds because you're trying to take me down a train of thought that I'm not having. Because again, I think it's wrong. I don't think that my ethics and my body of ethics should be applied universally to everyone, because I recognize that there's a difference in ethics between person to person. Okay. The other thing is that essentially, hold on, I lost my train of thought. What was that last point you made?
Yeah. The last point I made is, why do you think it should be illegal to torture babies?
I think ethically, I think it's wrong. I think that it's wrong to hurt somebody who's defenseless. And I think it's wrong to dominate somebody who's defenseless. But I think that there's a huge difference. So there's degrees of wrong. Okay. So murdering someone in first degree is more wrong than manslaughter or negligently murdering somebody. So as far as torturing a baby, I see that as a huge individual evil. But I think having a blanket of law that is universally applied, like for instance, banning or legalizing abortion at a federal level so that there's not that individual decision making, I see that as a greater degree of evil than even torturing babies. Because let's say that there is a group that advocates torturing babies, and let's say they take over the political system, and let's say that they take over the judiciary, then by your train of thought that this thing should be federally adjudicated and established through precedent, then you're saying that because might is right and because they've taken power, they can apply their body of ethics. That's my answer. And it's more complex than your simple yes or no, or you positing trying to force me into a tangent, which these are all manipulative strategies in conversation, and they're duplicitous. And I'm not calling you a narcissist. What I'm saying is I'm describing your characteristics and your actions that you're taking. I'm describing those as narcissistic manipulative. So if you could avoid doing that, and if you avoid trying to reframe and telling me what I'm saying, then I'm not going to have a problem with you. But what you're doing right now is we can't have a discussion, because rather than listening to me, you're responding to points I've never made. Thank you.
Okay. Phenomenal, Joe. So I think it's funny that you ended off that statement by saying, I'm responding to points that you never made, when you just made the largest equivocation I've probably ever witnessed a guest make on this live since I started doing these live streams. So I said that torturing babies should be federally illegal because it's wrong to torture babies. And then you to your logic, you'd be okay with legalizing a baby torture on the federal level because you think it should be adjudicated on the federal level. Actually, no. I wouldn't say that I would support legalizing baby torture on the federal level. Why? Because I think it's wrong to torture babies. Second point, you agreed with me. You finally answered the question that the reason you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies is because you think it's wrong. And then in the next breath, you went on to say that you don't agree with the universal imposition of laws and which are true for all constituents of the country, or something similar to that. You use your own words. Isn't that exactly what you're saying? Isn't that exactly what we're both saying? Isn't that exactly what anyone with a brain would say? I think you, me, and everybody watching this conversation has agreed that it is not wrong to universally impose codified legislation on the federal level to ban torturing babies in America. And both you and me agree reasons why we should impose this federal law to criminalize torturing babies is because we think it's wrong. What does this mean? Both you and me agree if we think something is wrong, like torturing babies, super bad human rights violation, we're okay with banning that on the federal level.
Okay, so that's another 2 minutes, 30 seconds. So let's see if I can actually respond. So again, torturing babies, you understand that the entire opposition to your point, the people who think that abortion should be illegal because it's murder, they would argue that abortion is a form of torturing babies. So, okay, maybe everybody agrees with you, torturing babies is wrong, but their idea of what torturing babies is different, right? You understand that?
And that's where
so you can use your didn't let me even finish. You've already interrupted me. It's been 30 seconds. So you're accusing me of interrupting you, but you're the one doing it, and you're causing that. That's how that energy is starting.
I should have held off on that comment.
That's how this energy is starting, because you're muting me and you're interrupting me. And then you're reframing and you're changing what I'm saying to elicit response because I don't want you to misspeak for me. So I can't even remember where I was at in my train of thought. Oh, right. So yeah, we can all agree that torturing babies is wrong, but you understand that other people are going to have definitions different than what you believe is torture. So you could be arguing in favor that abortion should be banned on a federal level because you believe torturing babies is wrong. because again, that's not a legal definition. There's no statutory guidance. And if we're just basing it on subjective ethics, it can be misapplied in a way that you don't want, which is why we don't have it educated at a federal level and established by precedents.
We have
Thank you.
you and both me have now agreed that it is okay to use our subjective ethics to advocate for criminal legislation. Thank you. That's a concession I was looking for.
do not believe that.
Okay.
I don't
Wait.
believe that.
So if the basis,
if that's what you heard, you haven't listened to what I've said.
Okay. Well, don't interrupt me after you complain about me interrupting you. So that is what you said. I asked you why you think it should be federally legal.
Changed what I'm saying.
No, I didn't change what I'm saying. I literally made sure that I didn't
telling
change
you
what
I don't.
I literally made. Oh, dude. Okay, then you're contradicting yourself. If you're now affirming that that's not something that you believe in, now you're contradicting yourself. I asked you why you think it should be federally legal to torture babies, and you told me because you think it's wrong. You were describing your subjective ethics. So in other words, you do think that it is okay for you to use your subjective ethics to advocate for federal law. Now, I just want to clarify, if you are not using your subjective ethics to advocate for this federal law that it should be illegal to torture babies, I'll just go back to the original question. Why do you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies? And by the way, I don't want to hear a single moral claim out of you.
All criminal law and everything that we determine to be a crime is based on morality. It's based on universal consensus morality. That is black letter law. And I don't think you. I have a Juris Doctorate from. I have a Juris Doctorate from Berkeley, so I have a pretty deep understanding of the.
Damn, I'm fucking up some dude with a degree from Berkeley. Holy shit, I'm good at what
you're
I
really
do.
You're really not. That's funny you say that, because anybody listening to this knows that you're wrong, and you know you're wrong, and you know you're not wrong.
The gaslighting on point.
Win.
W narcissist. Okay, listen to this. So now you're saying that it should be federally legal to criminalize babies because it's a universal truth that everybody accepts, right?
What's criminalizing babies? You said I don't know what criminalizing babies is.
Sorry. I misworded myself.
Are you getting a little flustered?
No, I'm not flustered. I just I'll repeat what I said without misspeaking. You said that you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies because you think that a lot of people agree that that's wrong. Is that your claim? Just like in a sentence or less, okay? Because every explanation you've given to very simple questions has been like 5 minutes long. So in a nutshell, what is it? Do you think that it should be federally illegal to torture babies because you think it's wrong? Or do you think that it should be federally illegal to torture babies because a lot of people think it's wrong? Which one?
I think the basis of our legal system is morality, and I think that's codified under the rule of law.
So you're still not answering my question. Do you think that it should be federally legal to torture babies because you think it's wrong? Or do you think it should be federally legal to torture babies because a lot of people think it's wrong? Which one is it?
I think it should be because it's the letter of the law, and that's based on game theory. We have to trust the law over our personal opinions. I do value the body of law over my personal opinion because I don't think that I should be dictator, and I don't think that I should have.
That now you're telling us that you think it should.
I don't think I should have power over other people.
Okay. So
whether or not I think it should be personally should not be the law.
So now you're saying that you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies because it's the quote unquote letter of the law and something to do with game theory. Okay, so could you expand upon that a little bit? When you tell us that you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies because it's the quote-unquote letter of the law, what do you mean by letter of the law there? Like, what are the more specific motivations?
We honor the law and we honor the societal agreement that we have interpersonally because it allows us to avoid great acts of suffering and violence. Yeah, it's a societal
okay,
it's a societal
so you're
contract.
Basically saying that.
Contract.
So you're basically saying that it should be federally illegal to torture. You're saying that it should be a federal crime to torture babies because there's a societal agreement that that's wrong?
I think that the entire purpose of putting the law over what we think is personally right is because we have people do.
We're not going to move on yet. We're still trying to determine why you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies. So I'm
explaining that
you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies.
Stop interrupting me.
You think there's a societal agreement that that's wrong?
I think that it's the same reason why we don't kill each other and steal from each other and rob each other just because it's personally convenient for us.
Wait.
Because
you're not answering
because rather than
yes or no, yes or no is the reason why you think it should be federally illegal to torture babies because a lot of people think it's wrong. Why can't we get a clear answer from Joe?
Because that's a narcissistic double bind, and I'm not. I don't.
Wanting a clear answer is narcissistic.
I'm telling you why I think it should be illegal.
Oh, okay.
I'm not answering that question.
What is it? Why? Okay, listen. Obviously, I'm just
because the law has determined it to be illegal.
Okay, so you're saying that it legally speaking should be illegal because it is illegal. Okay, so I just want to clarify, when child marriage with 12-year-olds was legal, lawfully speaking, they determined that it is legal. So do you say when child marriage was legal, you would say that child marriage should be legal? Or when slavery was legal, you'd say that slavery should be legal, right?
No, what I would say is that
No.
an example of 12-year-old marriage is legal, maybe not in our country, but it's legal in a lot of different places because it's a reflection of the society they live in. And people actually age mature a lot
Okay,
more
well, then we're not asking questions about is.
to have kids at a young age.
We're not asking
So
questions about is.
it
We're
is
asking
based in a
questions
gray
about-
area. It's a reflection of,
Oh,
it's
I'm
all
getting into
subjective
this
based on
word shit.
societal standards.
Okay, so you're saying that like societal standards drive these conclusions.
Exactly. That's
Okay,
100%
so
true.
you're saying that like torturing babies should be illegal because society agrees that it's wrong?
That's exactly what the entire letter of the law is.
Okay,
because
no,
the
that's not, I'm not asking you what is.
Aztecs
I'm not asking you what it is.
engaged in
I'm not asking you what it is. I understand that
child
like the letter.
sacrifice.
I'm asking you that the letter of the law, like in a democracy, determines what is illegal based upon like a common consensus. I mean, we're in a functioning constitutional republic. Sure, that is the case. I'm not asking you a question about is. I'm asking you a question about should. Why do you think it should be illegal? Just in a sentence or less, Joe. I've been asking you this question for an hour and you can't answer it. Please return that university degree from Berkeley back. You damned. You wasted
I
your
already
money.
told you.
We have
No.
a college graduate from Berkeley that cannot give us a clear answer to the question of why he thinks child torture should be illegal.
Answered that question several times.
Okay,
I told
what's
you
the
that
answer?
on a personal level, I think that it's morally and ethically wrong.
Okay, great.
But I do not think.
Great. So you think that it should be illegal to torture children because you think it's morally wrong? Is that the response? Yes or no?
I think that people should not torture children, and I think that it should be illegal based on the adjudication of the law.
Wait,
which is not,
based upon the adjudication of the law? Okay, so now you're telling us you think it should be illegal based upon the adjudication of the law. What does that even mean?
that means that is established and codified either in the Bill of Rights, in legislation, or through judicial precedents.
Okay, great. So I just want to clarify, you're saying that it should be legal because it is illegal, right?
I'm saying
I just want a yes or no. I just want a yes or no. I just want a yes or no. You're saying that it should be illegal because it is illegal, right?
I'm saying that if you want to use any other corollary, because you're using one example.
No, dude, Joe, shut up and give me a yes or no. Are you saying that it should be illegal because it is illegal?
Abortion. You don't.
No, I'm not going to allow you to pivot. Are you saying that it should be illegal to torture children because it is illegal? Answer the question. Yes or no? Is that your position?
Okay, so do you think?
Okay,
switch it to abortion.
No, we're not going to switch shit because I want a clear answer. Are you saying that it should be illegal to torture children because it is illegal to torture children? Yes or no?
I'm saying that certain societies decide that it's okay to torture children.
That's not the question that I asked you. I asked you why you think it should be legal. Saying that certain societies have adjudicated that it's okay to torture children is not telling me why you think it should be legal, Joe. I'm asking you why you think it should be illegal. Is the reason why you think it should be legal to torture kids on the federal level is because it is illegal to torture kids on the federal level? Is that the reason why you think it should be legal?
I'm saying that no one individual ethics system should be applied universally.
Okay, then you're not answering the question of why you think it should be legal.
Because I don't have to have an opinion on that if I don't want to, and I don't have to tell you because I don't want to go down I'm not going down your tangent.
Wait, so I just want to clarify that now you are refusing to engage the debate because you're getting to Joe. Oh, this is an ego death. This is an ego death that nobody deserves to experience.
You're crashing.
I understand it, Joe.
Crashing out. Look
dude,
at you.
Yeah, my serotonin is at an all-time
Crashing
high.
out.
You are getting absolutely wiped. You just said, Dean, I am not going to answer your question. Good job for being a spineless coward.
The fact you need
this
to say
is great. Everybody, tout the horns because this is fun. So I just want to. There's absolutely no conceivable rational mind alive that would say that I'm losing this debate. Literally, nobody's takeaway right now is. Literally, nobody's takeaway right now is that I'm digging myself a hole. Nobody's takeaway right now is that I'm losing a debate. Every single person alive's takeaway right now is that you are absolutely losing this debate because I've been able to reduce you down to saying that you are literally going to refuse to answer why you think that child torture should be illegal. You got absolutely brain fucked. Like absolute decimation. Like you're back from 100 to 0.
Today
you got absolutely
I've gotten more subscribers from being on here talking to you than I've ever gotten.
I know. Run the gauntlet, bro. Talk about the follows instead of talking about the argument. 110%. That's a sign of you winning the argument. So I just want to clarify: what is the reason you possess?
Appeal to majoritarianism? The group is not right.
So I just want to clarify. So why do
the
you
Earth was
think
flat 5,000 years ago?
Why do you think that child torture should be legal?
There's no majoritarianism is not an argument that makes you right.
I'm not even making an argument. I'm asking you a question.
That's
this is
what
like
you just
literally like intro to freshman
you
year
just
philosophy.
said.
Why do
That's
you
what
think?
you just
Why
said.
do you think that child torture should be legal on the federal level? What are your reasons why you think that should be illegal?
I've already explained it several times.
No, okay, that's fair. You have. But the first time you explained it, you said that it's because you personally think that it's morally wrong. The second time you explained it, it's because you think that there's a societal consensus that a lot of people think it's morally wrong. And then the third time you explained it, you said it's because there's already a legal precedent. Don't interrupt me, Joe. Don't interrupt me. You're losing. Remember this one. Remember when I interrupted you and you told me that I was losing? You're interrupting me, Joe. Everybody look at me. He's actively interrupting me. He's actively interrupting me right now. He's obviously losing the debate because he's actively interrupting me right now. When I was in the middle of a sentence explaining what his answers were and how they contradicted one another, he's actively interrupting me right now. As we speak, this is an active interruption. Well, I'd say that the one doing the interrupting is crashing the one out, not the one upholding the boundaries.
You monologue 3 minutes at a time.
I literally spoke for less than 15 seconds.
I've been timing you each time. You interrupt me.
Yo, literally, check this out.
I've been timing it. I have a stopwatch.
Yeah, check this out. I'm gonna go and put the stopwatch on screen while I answer the question.
And let's see how long I can talk.
Joe, buddy, watch this.
You just said that you're right because majority.
Buddy, watch this. Watch this. Listen to what I have to say.
Okay, you've muted me 10 times.
I know because you're interrupting
me.
Because you start talking when I'm talking. That's not how it goes.
Start the timer now.
Great. I'll start the timer as soon as I start speaking. Joe. Now to go back to what I said. I asked you the question of why you think that child torture should be illegal. You responded by saying that you've already answered that multiple times. I said, yes, right? Joe, you have answered it multiple times. In fact, you've answered it 3 times. And the 3 answers that you've given have been contradictory gibberish that not even a 3rd grader can understand. The first time you answered the question, you said it's because you personally think that it's morally wrong. The second time you answered the question, you said it's because a lot of people think that it's morally wrong and there's a societal understanding. And then the third time you answered the question, you literally said that you think child torture should be illegal because it is illegal. So these are 3 wildly different answers to the question that contradict one another. These 3 answers cannot be true at the same time. So out of the 3 answers you've given, saying that it should be legal because you think it's wrong, it should be legal because a lot of people think it's wrong, and it should be legal because it already is illegal, which one of these 3 answers is your answer? Please inform us.
The discussion that we started having was whether or not abortion should be legalized or illegalized at the federal level. You're trying to pull me into a tangent and question my morality and make it about what I believe personally, which I'm not entertaining. And I'm not going to have that discussion because I don't need to defend my own ethics because I don't think that they should be applied to everybody. So let's talk about that. Why do you think it's okay for a hierarchical system like the federal government to determine what are personal ethical issues? Answer that. Answer that. You can suck us down any trail you want, but answer the opening argument. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Dean Withers Show. Today we have Joe, who came up here and told us that he thinks I'm a fascist for wanting to advocate for federal legislation to prevent human rights violations because I think the law should be whatever I think is immoral. And then I asked a question that a 3rd grader can ask. I asked Joe if he thinks that child torture should be federally illegal. And he said yes. Joe said yes. And then I asked the follow-up question, Joe, why do you think that should be federally illegal? And then Joe had no clue what to say. Joe got because if you folks remember, Joe just got done telling me I can't use my moral compass to advocate for legislation. But let me tell you folks, the one and the only tool that every single one of you use when advocating for legislation in reform is your moral compass. Thank you so much for joining my TED Talk today. And in fact, I hope that Joe took a lot away from the TED Talk because the moment he argued that we should exclude our moral compasses from advocating for legislation, he had no clue how to explain why he thinks child torture should be illegal. And then he spent the next 45 minutes waffling out of his ass. All right, everybody. Joe actually left in the middle of that. Holy crap. What an absolute slam. Dude, Amelia, thank you for the galaxy. I don't think I've ever had a more satisfying intellectual slam on this live for such a disingenuous MFer. That was great. That was really fun. Chat, we are never gonna forget Wafflin' Joe. Wafflin' Joe's gonna go down in the book of memories on these live streams. But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next guest now. If you are in the queue, make sure that you're at least 18 years old. Make sure that you support Trump and make sure that you're ready and willing to join up and defend that position. Let's go ahead and head back to that queue right now. Let's go and get that next guest loaded in. We see that Josh Pruitt is in the box. Let's go and get Mr. Josh up right now. While we're loading Josh, and there's a handful of people that I'd like to thank. Welcome in, Josh. Do you support Trump?
I do.
You do. How old are you? You know what? You're of age. You're of age.
I'm eating. I'm 43.
No worries. Here, finish out that bite. I have a couple people to thank. Mackenzie, thank you so much for the $5 over on PayPal. Show some love to Mackenzie down below. Lorray with $1. Alexis with $1. Then Fatima, thank you for the $10. Fatima asked, do I support Palestine? Yes, I do. Thank you for the love, Fatima. Then Lana with the $10 as well, saying, Dean, I wouldn't care about you interrupting it if it's just pure gibberish. Yeah, sometimes interruptions are required for like the productivity of the conversation. Thank you for the love, Lana. And then Crystal with the $5 as well. And Emma, thank you so much for the $7 over on PayPal. Emma says, the fact that I'm Canadian know more about Trump than these Trump supporters is appalling. Oh, I know, dude. They are far gone. And then Jesslyn with the $5 over on Venmo calling me the GOAT. Appreciate you for the love, Jesslyn. Kelly with the $1. Thank you so much. And then Tyler with the $25 donation over on Venmo from 30 minutes ago. Tyler says, F this guy. Happy Saturday. Are you a movie star now? No, I'm not a movie star, man. I wish in another life. And then Zach, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube Super Chat saying, is the line about credentials kick-worthy? No, it's just cringe. And then Joe, and then Logan with the $10 on YouTube Super Chat saying that Joe is telling his Twitter followers he washed Dean Withers. Bruh, Logan, you gotta drop what his Twitter is so I could go look at it and laugh harder. Anyways, Josh, I'm gonna go ahead and send you an invite to unmute. Everybody, appreciate you for the love. If you're watching and you'd like to support me, very similar to Josh, Fatima, Zach, etc., you can find my Venmo, my PayPal, and the link tree in my bio on TikTok. I get 100% of the proceeds over on those platforms compared to around 30% here on TikTok. And anyways, take it away, man. Why do you support Trump?
Oh, for a lot of reasons. But I mean, he also pardoned me and got me out of prison, so there's that.
Oh, what? J6?
Yep.
Okay. What did you get locked up in? What did you go to jail for in J6?
Obstruction of an official court proceedings.
I mean, were you?
No. And I got 55 months for it.
Okay.
So I was locked up with people. I was locked up with people that literally were getting less time than me for robbing banks, for walking into a federal building.
I mean, obstruction of like of the court proceedings on January 6th is like is a pretty big deal, man. But
Well, I mean, you say it's a big deal, but it got overruled by the Supreme Court midway through my sentence, and the prosecutor told me, "Oh, guess what? If you go back for resentencing, they'll drop your charge, but we'll just charge you with a bunch of more bullshit to make sure you stay in prison." So that's your side.
listen, man, I honestly, I don't know you. I don't know like your personal case. I'd have to look into it in order to talk to you about how bad of a person you are, which is likely. But let me ask you a question. Do you agree with like the other J6 pardons, like Daniel Rodriguez, who like took a stun gun and drove it into the neck of a cop and gave them a heart attack? He was sentenced to 12 years.
I personally don't know who Daniel Rodriguez is. I don't know who a lot of the guys are, to be honest. Because it wasn't about like going there with a bunch of buddies. I showed up. I lived in DC. I was for Trump, and that's what it was all about for me. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about other pardons.
Oh, but like, I'm asking you if you agree with him or not. So, like DJ Rodriguez,
well,
let me tell you about.
I know.
I know. You probably don't know a lot about him. I want to give you the facts. Yeah.
All right, go for it.
I'll give you all the specifics. So there was a cop on J6. His name was Officer Falcone. Officer Falcone was standing, just doing crowd control. DJ Rodriguez walked up to him, got his taser, and drove it into his neck. It was caught on Officer Falcone's body camera, and then that caused Officer Falcone to have a heart attack and PTSD. Then DJ was arrested. He was Fanone, not Falcone. Fanone was then so then Fanone had DJ Rodriguez.
We're talking about Fanone. Oh, fuck Fanone.
And then what? I'm sorry, I just instinctively muted you. Yeah, Officer Fanone
is a fake.
What? He was a cop that suffered a heart attack, was beaten with
Fanone
pipes.
is a joke that literally profited off all this.
I hope, listen, bro, you're never gonna hear me back the blue, but this one circumstance, the dude was beaten with pipes. The dude was beaten with pipes. The dude suffered a heart attack. The dude had his own GUN pulled on him. The dude had a stun gun driven into his neck. The J6 traitors, such as yourself, like, were screaming, "Take his gun and unalive him with it." Okay, right? I think that I'm okay with him profiting off of that. I'd be okay with anybody in his shoes profiting off of undergoing that treatment. Yeah. But tell me, do you agree with Donald Trump's pardon of DJ Rodriguez? Unmute. I'm sorry, I keep muting you just because I'm scared of what you have to say. I'll stop. You got it. I'll stop. It's not a good thing for me. I'm sorry, man. I'm here for debate and discourse. You're right. Go ahead.
Why are you muting me?
Because I'm just scared of what you have to say. It's like a subconscious thing. I'll push the
because of what I have to say. Because it has a different opinion than you.
But your opinions are just so insane.
Right,
no,
let me
I'm
ask you a
used to
question.
different opinions.
No, you literally just said the dumbest shit ever.
Okay.
You don't back the blue, but only in this case.
Yeah. It was a little bit of like hyperbolic.
So you don't back it only in this case. So what about the ICE agent that just got shot in the face in Chicago? Are you okay with that?
Well, on the surface level, I'm not okay with anybody.
Oh, that's okay.
Bruh, are you gonna let me respond?
Go ahead. I mean, you cut me off, you shut my fucking mic off.
Yeah, on like the surface level, I'm not okay with anybody being shot in the face like that, but I don't know the specifics of the case. I'd have to look into them. But can you now please respond to my question related to DJ Rodriguez's pardon, in which I could give you all the specifics of the case that you would need?
I mean, again, not for nothing, I don't know shit about the dude. And
I know,
what
but
I do know
I could give you those specifics.
No, but I can give you specifics on other people that I do know. They got trumped up charges, assault on police officer charges for not doing shit. So there's that.
Okay, we'll talk about them as soon as you could answer to my original question, which you're running away from. I
don't know who the fuck he is, so it's irrelevant.
Let me tell you who he is. So DJ Rodriguez was just like you. He was at the Capitol on January 6th. Everything that I'm about to say has been verified, and I'll give you the evidence to demonstrate its verification. DJ Rodriguez walked up to Officer Fanone, took his stun gun, turned around, drove it into his neck, causing Fanone to suffer a heart attack. DJ Rodriguez was then arrested for this and taken to court by the FBI. The FBI prosecuted him for this crime, assault on a police officer. He pled guilty to assault on a police officer, and the evidence provided in court prior to his plea was A, the testimony of Officer Fanone, and B, Officer Fanone's body camera footage that showed DJ Rodriguez with the stun gun in his hand lunging towards Officer Fanone's neck. Okay, he was sentenced to 12 years in jail, 4 years in. January 2025, Donald Trump gets up, calls him a patriot, and pardons him. Do you agree or disagree with said pardon?
This is what I agree with. Fanone's a bitch. If I ever see Fanone in person, I'll punch him in the fucking mouth. How about that?
I think that you should lose your right to vote. I think, yeah.
Oh, should I?
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Okay.
like you're just like I can't even like
If I ever come across
Maga.
and I'm
You
from
are a
DC.
traitor. You are a traitor to the country.
Am I?
You are an absolute traitor. You're an absolute traitor. You're an absolute traitor. You don't care about anything. You stand behind no principles. You lack a spine. Like an absolute traitor. Watch this. What is one thing that you care about? You don't care about this country. You supported an attempted overthrow. You don't care about life. You just said that you would punch some dude in the mouth that suffered a heart attack from a stun gun driven into it and didn't respond about the pardon of the guy that did that to him at all. You don't care about cops. Obvious one. What do you care about? What do you care about in America? What drives your support for Trump? I don't think that there's any principles. I don't think that there's any spine. I think likely the reason why...
Freedomist, would you please stop muting me? What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to debate, but you want to mute me whenever I start saying something.
Bruh,
how does that make sense?
I asked you if you agreed with Trump's pardon of DJ Rodriguez, and you didn't even answer. You didn't even...
The answer is yes, I do. There. You want to hear it?
Damn.
Hey, not for nothing. I've been on CNN, HBO, everybody.
So you want more criminals running in our streets?
But your little bullshit million plus followers is nothing to me.
It's actually 7 million.
Even if it's 7, I've been on HBO and fucking CNN. They got a little bit more followers than you, brother. So I give 2 fucks what you put me out to be.
I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I have been on CNN too.
Oh, whoop-de fucking...
I hate to be that guy. I don't want to pull that card, but I have.
Yeah, I mean, what were you doing? Sucking their dicks off in the back and the fucking... really? Nobody cares about you, bro. You are a fucking... all you're doing is making money off of bullshit. That's what you're doing.
No.
You're getting financially rich off of trashing Trump, and you probably couldn't even fucking vote. You probably couldn't even vote the first time he ran.
Listen. I hate to be that guy. I hear this. I hear this from a lot of my guests. The whole, "Oh, you're just making money." It just sounds like you're jealous. By the way, everybody that's been donating all day long on Venmo and PayPal in the bio. By the way, I appreciate you guys. But also, I just want to point out here that the only person making money or financially gaining off of bullshit here is literally you. You just told us how you went on CNN, you went on HBO because you engaged in an insurrection and you like to punch cops and you agree with pardoning attempted killers. Obviously, media exposure and whatnot has somehow benefited you financially. So the only person genuinely making money off of BS here is you. Yo, Eladia! Thank you for the $50 donation over on Venmo. I appreciate you for that love, Eladia. They got banned. Hell yeah! Now let's go. Eladia, I appreciate you so much for that $50 donation over on Venmo. Eladia says, hell yeah. Dean, Eladia, I really appreciate you so much for the love. You are phenomenal. If we could please have everybody watching show some love to Eladia down below in that comment section, that would mean so much to me. Let's give 500 Eladia W's down below in that comment section, literally right now. Thank you so much, Eladia. As well as Zoe with a $25 donation over on Venmo saying, I'm so grateful I was here for that. You were phenomenal, Dean. Well done. Dude, what an interesting conversation. And thank you so much for the love. You are phenomenal, Zoe. Everybody show some love to Zoe and Eladia down below. As well as Jarvis with a $25 donation over on PayPal, saying, I hope that Josh's wife divorces him. Well, thank you for the 50. Jarvis, everybody show some love to Jarvis. And then Mackenzie, thank you for the $20 over on Venmo, saying to keep up the good work on the streams. Thank you for the love, Mackenzie. That is so kind of you. And then another Mackenzie with the $10 on Venmo, saying, what is up with these Republicans always jumping to sucking D, bruh? Bruh, I perplexes me, man. I don't know. And then Rihanna, thank you for the $25 over on Venmo. Rihanna says, I was a DC resident during J6 and the whole thing was so terrifying that I had to move. And this guest is reconfirming my decision. Thank you for speaking on this, Dean. Bro, honestly, Rihanna, I get it 110%. Living there and seeing that shit firsthand, I would probably move too. And that guy was insane. Thank you for the love. And I'm happy that you got out of there. I truly am. Welcome in, Mr. I don't know if I could even say your name. I'm just going to call you Mr. Man. Mr. Man, do you support Trump?
Sure, but why are you so pedantic? I don't get it. Why are you so pedantic?
Define pedantic.
You pay attention to the smallest fucking details to every little thing. To the smallest little details. And you talk in the source bro talk. Anybody could do that. He has consciously made himself aware of the troubling and consequential manner in which he, the individual named Dean, chooses to articulate and verbalize the political opinions and ideas that he has conceptualized, important for the furtherance of conversations.
So that's not going to be
I could fucking do that too.
That's not going to be pedantic.
You are pedantic.
Listen, that's going to be verbose. Yeah, I can agree on verbose at points. I tried to be less verbose. But anyways, why do you support Trump?
Because he actually made 2 genders. You said if you're uncomfortable with somebody touching your butthole, then you're homophobic, right? So if I put my finger up your butt, then you're homophobe, right?
What? No, I don't think
That's
that
what you and Parker said that.
No, I don't think that somebody's homophobic if they don't like things up their butt.
That's what you said. Like, you literally said that.
Play the clip.
You literally said if you don't like somebody touching your bunghole.
Listen. I know what you're talking about. It's not a clip of me. It's a clip of Parker, and it was taken out of context. I do agree. A left in the out of context clip, it does look like Parker said that. I'll be honest. Okay, I'll be honest. I talked to Parker about this. In the out of context clip of Parker speaking, it does look like he said, "If you don't like stuff in your butt, you're homophobic." Okay. Okay. But that's not what he believes. And given like the context that it was clipped out of, that's not what he said either. He left, by the way. He left. But no, that wasn't me. He left. We're going to move on to the next guest here. Everyone just give us a minute. Go ahead and put a mag with your age down below in the chat if you'd like to join. Let's go load up the next guest right now. Let's go to get Faith loaded into the... Dude, yeah. That was a bad one. That was a bad one. Okay. All right. We're going to go... Welcome in, Faith. Do you support Trump? Okay, Faith left as well. Okay. How long have we been live? Does anybody know? It's like 4:46. We've been live since 1:32. I think that we've been live for like 3 hours. Yeah, around 3 hours. What an exhausting day. Holy people today have been nuts. Dude, they've been so nuts. They've been unbelievable. They've been unbelievable today. Welcome in. Do you support Trump, Landon?
How's it going? So I just had a question regarding, so I'm active duty military, and I was just wondering what you think I should, like in terms of world politics, like, because I'm not much of a political guy.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to like understand, because mostly everyone here on base is very, Trump. And I just don't know what, like, in terms of, like, what have they done in terms of like at least Biden? What has Biden done for making like international trips and stuff like that?
What? Like international trips, like talking to other world leaders?
Yeah.
I didn't follow that too closely. You got the
okay.
typical like G7 summits. You got like the meeting with them. I didn't keep too close of an eye on that, so I wouldn't know. Now, you said that your active duty service, you took an oath to uphold the Constitution, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a really big reason not to support Trump. He's launched an attack on the Constitution. I'll give you an example. He passed an executive order banning birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants. That was explicitly unconstitutional.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Right. You shouldn't support him because he's launched an attack on the Constitution. Clear as day.
That's true.
Right? Right? Isn't that fair?
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, even if like you understand like the deeper meaning of the 14th Amendment and how important of an amendment that is and how Donald Trump has launched an attack on it, like anybody that's active duty service military should really resent him.
All right. Well, I appreciate your opinion. Thank you, man.
Yeah, dude. Have a good rest of your day, and thank you for your service, man. I hope that you end up believing in what's right. We're gonna move on to the next guest right now, y'all. Christopher with the $2 over on Venmo says, I agree with a lot of your stances, though I don't agree with a lot of the times your debate style is not great, but I'm here for calling out J6ers. Well, honestly, I feel like my debate style will probably get better the older I become and the more mature I become. I think I do have a lot of maturing to do, and I put like an active conscious effort into it. And I'll probably like look back on my debate style when I'm older and I'll be cringing at it, but I appreciate you for the love, Christopher, as well as Marg. Thank you for the $5 over on Venmo. I appreciate you for the love as well as your message there. That is very kind. Welcome in. Go ahead and unmute Robo. You were up the other day. We never got to talk though. Do you support Trump?
Yeah, I think some other guests might have come up and you had a quick question, and then I tried to get back into the queue, but you were maxed out at that time. So
I remember that.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Here we are.
So why do you support Trump?
So if I go with domestic policy, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, Space Force, First Step Act, deregulation efforts, judicial appointments, border enforcement, right to try was a good one for me. The economy I thought was doing well prior to C-19. I liked USMCA better than NAFTA. Foreign policy, I liked that he engaged with North Korea. I didn't like the JOCPA in Iran. So for those reasons, but what I really would like to discuss with you is
Well, we can't discuss any of those.
Say again?
Come on, you just gave me like a billion things. We can't talk about any of
Yeah,
those.
yeah, one of them. But I want to discuss something from this administration. I was just applying to, these were some of the accomplishments from 2017 to 2021.
Well,
I would like to talk about what he's doing now, if we could.
We could have a long form discussion. Let's talk about it all. So you said,
Okay.
so I'm sorry, I need to write all those down because you gave quite a few points. The first point was was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. The second point was the Space Force. What was the third point?
First Step Act, I think I brought up.
Okay, what else?
Deregulation efforts,
Okay,
judicial appointments.
Wait, real second. Deregulation efforts to what end?
Well, I know he rolled back regulations across various sectors. I know he claimed a lot of them eased burdens on businesses.
I know, but that's like vague. To what end did his deregulatory efforts serve of making our country better?
Well, typically deregulation tends to make it a little bit easier for businesses to grow. He was citing some examples. Yeah, for business growth. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
So what deregulatory efforts cause a business growth?
So that's what I was saying. What I'm prepared to debate you on, if we could, is tariffs. I don't have as much research done on some of these things I mentioned.
No
I just mentioned them as a reason why I supported Trump going into this administration.
Okay, then we'll just leave the deregulatory efforts.
Yeah, we can get to all
So
that.
then what comes after the what did you say after the deregulatory efforts?
I mentioned, I don't have this written down, judicial appointments maybe, greater border enforcement.
Okay, border. Okay, what else?
On foreign policy, I mentioned
foreign policy.
I mentioned
engagements with
withdrawal
North
from
Korea.
JCPOA.
Not like away. And then you also noticed.
I mentioned increased NATO spending, which I thought was good.
Okay. All right.
I think I don't think I can mention it, but I thought Abraham Accords was a step in the right direction. I like that he engaged with North Korea. I think I might have mentioned that.
Okay, yeah, we got a bunch of points here. Let's go over them. So the first point that you brought up was being a fan of his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in his first term. Listen, man, I think that if I had to grade that policy, I'd give it like a D plus, C minus. So although it did give some like tax relief to like the average American, it disproportionately focused on the ultra wealthy. I think that policy would have been a lot better if it focused more of the expenditure on said average American. And I mean, I just think this kind of furthered wealth income inequalities in our country, and the fact that this happened right before COVID was like a double negative whammy. Not to mention that it cost nearly $2 trillion and didn't transpire much GDP growth at all. We have like a study from two Harvard economists, one right-leaning and one left-leaning, indicated that it only grew GDP by around 0.04% per year. So overall, I'd grade that like a C minus, D plus. Now, moving on to the second point, the Space Force. I mean, like, okay, cool. I mean, it didn't like allocate any new funding to the military. It just reallocated funding from the Navy. I'd say what's more important, Navy or Space Force? Probably the Navy. So if we want to start the Space Force, we should probably allocate more / new funding to it. So for that, I'd give it like a D minus again. First Step Act, good. I'd give that an A plus. However, the only reason why that wasn't passed under Obama's administration is they wanted to wait until they had a Republican in the Oval Office to get it done. And now he's contradicting the First Step Act, like something under that was to end the death penalty for DRUG sellers. He's now advocating to reinstitute that. So if you think that the First Step Act was a good policy, then you'd obviously disagree with his action as a second administration. The third point that you named there was the deregulatory efforts that the Trump administration is engaged in. Well, it is a case that you weren't able to pinpoint like any specific deregulatory efforts. So that was kind of a nothing burger, dead point. Move on to appointments to the Supreme Court. I mean, I think that his appointments have been decent. Sometimes like the rulings on Abrego Garcia. However, overall, I'd give them like a D minus because I don't think that they like totally care about upholding the Constitution. You know, like they've been postponing a ruling on Donald Trump's EO banning birthright citizenship for the children of undocumented immigrants because if they knew if they had to, they'd have to rule that it's unconstitutional. And it's not like they don't know about it because they gave a ruling on national injunctions banning Donald Trump's EO, saying that they don't apply in all parts of the country. So I'd say his appointments to SCOTUS from like a constitutional scholar perspective are like maybe like a D minus. Once again. Then border enforcement. I mean, I don't think that you'd be able to name like any specific things that he did for better border enforcement during his first term that were great. I mean, like Remain Mexico policy that had an impact on undocumented immigrants, that impacted asylum seekers. And then like the big one that really dropped undocumented entry would have been Title 44, but that wasn't because of him. That was because of COVID. And then you also said how you liked the USMCA more than NAFTA. Okay, well, this would actually be, if you like the USMCA, this would be a reason not to support Trump, because Donald Trump has called the USMCA like a very terrible trade agreement that nobody should like, not even himself, and he wants to change it, impose more tariffs on them. So that's actually a reason why you shouldn't support Trump. And then the seventh point that you made was more NATO spending from other countries. No, that's okay. I mean, that's not bad. I don't think that that's going to kind of like tilt the lever one direction or another, especially when we consider all these other bad things that he's doing. You said that he liked the Abraham Accords. Well, the Abraham Accords excluded Palestine, which increased tensions in the region, and in part led to a lot of what we see in the region today. So I'm not a fan of the Abraham Accords. You shouldn't be either. And then you said that you liked his engagements with North Korea. I didn't. It just gave them pictures of Kim Jong-un and Trump together, as well as Kim Jong-un broke the no missile testing and the South Sea deal that they'd made less than 2 months after it was signed. So that was bad. And then you said that you didn't like. I don't think there's any reason not to like the JCPOA. It prevented, Iran from nuclearizing. It gave the IAEA, which is a international atomic watchdog, 24/7 surveillance access to all of their nuclear facilities and 500 in-person visits per year. So, hopefully this responds to all the points that you just made. In a nutshell, I think basically everything that you said was either a reason why you shouldn't support Trump, something that we shouldn't attribute to just Trump, or in some parts like minimally good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your response. A couple of things I will push back on, and then if we can get to tariffs, that'd be great. One thing would be that if you look at the individual tax cuts, that was part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. So the two brackets that I looked at in particular, which was the 25% bracket, which was a single person making about $38,000 a year, $37,950, and also the 28% bracket, which was a person making $91,900 a year. If you looked at median income, most people fell in between those two brackets. So what we saw with those brackets in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is the 25% bracket dropped to 22, the 28% bracket dropped to 24. In fact, besides the corporate tax cuts, that was the biggest percentage drop of any of the brackets. So the 10% stayed the same.
Right.
That was the lowest bracket. The 15% dropped to 12, 25 dropped to 22, 28 dropped to 24. Yeah. Now we start getting into bigger wage earners. The 33 bracket, income earners nearing 200,000, I think 191 was the number. They only went down to 32, only a 1% reduction. 35 stayed the same, and the highest bracket, 39.6, dropped to 37. So in terms of percentages, not raw dollars, of course, but in terms of percentages, the biggest percentage cuts happen for medium income workers.
So when you look at the individual income brackets, you got a bit of background noise. I'm going to mute you when you're not talking. When you look at the individual income brackets, sure, right? But when we would like consider that like top income earners are going to experience tax cuts from all income brackets, including tax cuts that aren't offered to like lower wage earners, they're going to like reap more of the benefit disproportionately, even though on the micro scale, when you look at the income brackets, there's still larger decreases for like the median income earner. So I think that, obviously the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was 2018. I don't think I've read this study for years. I would happily find it for you. But around 80% of the cuts in the bill went to the top income earners. So it just disproportionately benefited them. And that's my big problem with it, alongside the spending and the little GDP growth we experienced. Like, I'd say like it could definitely get worse, right? Like the big beautiful bill and the tax cuts he just passed was worse, 110%, because it wasn't just helping poor people more. It wasn't just helping rich people more than the poor and increasing income inequities. It was only helping rich people, right? And that's important to consider. So there's a big difference between his original round of tax cuts and the tax cuts now. Like the TCJA was like maybe a 4 out of 10, and the big beautiful bill is like a 1 out of 10, right? But if you care about alleviating the tax burden of like low and medium income earners, right? Please tell me that you very vehemently disagree with the Big Beautiful Bill because of all of its cuts. I mean, according to the Center on Budget Priorities, anybody making at or under $51,000 per year is going to have a lower effective after-tax income, not because they're experiencing a tax hike, but because they'll be paying more for energy. They'll be paying higher at premiums on Medicaid. A lot of them are going to lose Medicaid. A lot of them are going to lose SNAP benefits. A lot of things are being defunded in which would serve towards increasing the after-tax income of Americans. So do you disagree with the Big Beautiful Bill for that reason?
So I haven't gone through, I think it's close to 1,000 pages. I haven't read up on all of it. I read up on the parts that pertain to my business, which was the no tax on tips. I understand that to be capped at 25,000. It will be, done at the end of the year, where you would essentially get a credit. I like the no tax on overtime, $12,500 cap. And I like that. I think it was the CBO said that the increase in the standard deduction for seniors 65 and older would be tantamount to paying no tax on Social Security for upwards to about 88% of current Social Security recipients. I've heard about the things about cutbacks in Medicaid and work requirements being extended in the number of hours. I haven't gotten into a deep dive on that. I'm sure you have and can inform me on that. I'd appreciate it.
That part's really important because, once again, the way that the Big Beautiful Bill hurts low-income earners isn't by increasing their taxes. It's by making them pay more for shit they need or just taking away the benefits that they need to survive.
I see. So, the real reason why I asked to come up, I wanted to speak to you about this since yesterday. So first, I want to make sure I understand what a tariff is and what Democrats' positions, or critics of tariffs, we'll call them, because I'm sure Republicans disagree with tariffs too. But so from my understanding, a tariff is a tax that's imposed by a government on an imported good or service. What we're using is a style of tariffs called the ad valorem tariffs, which is levied as a fixed percentage of the imported goods, the wholesale production value of those imported goods. So the concern is that this tax is paid by these importing firms to the government that imposed them. And the critics say that then these same corporations might pass off this tax to consumers through higher prices, resulting in inflation. Is that the argument?
Well, that's one of them. We'd have other arguments born out of comparative advantage and the necessity of globalized markets. But that's one of them.
Okay. So the reason why, here's my question. If a tariff is a tax on a corporation, a cost that critics, many Democrats, feel that companies will pass down to consumers,
right,
then why did Democrats advocate for higher corporate taxes, knowing that doing so would likely be inflationary in the same manner in which tariffs could potentially be inflationary?
Very nice question. Surprising enough, the last person to ask me this question was Nick Fuentes. Funny enough.
Wow.
Yeah, anyways. We see that they function differently. So point number one, when we saw a drastic decline in the corporate tax rate, when Donald Trump originally imposed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, I think the corporate tax rate went from 35% to 25%. We actually saw inflation go down. We saw inflation go up. We didn't see inflation go down. We saw inflation go up. And then point number two, it is a case that historically speaking, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, we had really high corporate tax rates and very low inflation. I think a reason for this is if you reinvest money into your business, that corporate tax rate is not going to impact you. So it just incentivizes more business reinvestment. And why would an incentivization of more business reinvestment cause higher prices? Typically that's going to increase companies' productive capacities. That's going to increase companies' abilities to produce more for lower prices. But a tariff, on the other hand, that doesn't incentivize more business reinvestment because you have to consume that tax no matter what you do with your revenue, right? And because you have to consume that tax regardless of what you do with your revenue, if you want to stay in the green, you're going to have to pass that off to the end consumer.
Yeah, I guess one way to push back on that is the notion that these corporations have been price gouging and that they had plenty of room within their business plan to be able to absorb some of that cost in order to not lose market share. So, for instance, right now, Nike is paying a tariff on the products they're bringing across from China. They've been paying that, since February, but yet they haven't increased the price of Nike sneakers. I think part of the reason why is that if they do that and the price goes beyond a certain market threshold, people stop buying Nike shoes. So I think in a lot of cases, these corporations might make a conscious decision to absorb that tariff, to not pass that tariff off to consumers out of fear of losing market share. Is that a potentiality?
A potentiality? Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think if they want to dominate market share in America, they're going to try to do that, or at least some companies are, right? However, we have to, once again, I'm going to mute you just because background noise. Well, point number one we have to consider is not all companies are doing this. In the same way you could give an example of Nike not increasing the price of their products and attempting to absorb that. Well, you're giving an example of a niche with a lot of price gouging with high profit margins. It doesn't cost Nike $110 to pay for, the shoes that they sell in their stores for $120. So a lot of shoe retailers have very large profit margins and have the ability to do that. I actually wouldn't expect the price of a product such as shoes, for instance, to increase that much because they'll want to keep that market dominance. Thereby, they're going to absorb that because they already experience high profit margins. But in a lot of other industries, we don't see those 100, 200% profit margins. I mean, I think on average last year, Target was operating like a 4 or 5. And even companies where we do see very obvious price gouging, well, that doesn't mean that they're operating at a profit margin of 50%. No, they're operating at a profit margin of 15 or 20%, right? However, a lot of the tariffs that we see are even more than 15 or 20%. They're significantly higher than that. And so even for companies that are marginally price gouging, they still won't be able to consume those tariffs. For example, Walmart announced that they had to increase the price of their goods. Amazon had to announce that they have to increase the price of their goods. A lot of companies that sell the bare necessities to live have announced that they're going to have to increase the price of their goods because either one, they aren't profit gouging, they're operating at 3, 4, 5% profit margins. So if they were to consume it, they'd go out of business. Or two, if they are profit margin, there's price gouging. That price gouge is still not equivalent to 35 or 40, 45%.
Yeah, so for sure, there are certain industries, of course, that have a lot more latitude to be able to adjust pricing accordingly to not lose market share, and some are more, hamstrung into having to pass off the cost of the tariff. I'm curious as to why, what you would suggest why it hasn't happened thus far. I know that there's a narrative out there that says that, there'll be some delay in the inflationary effects of tariffs, that oftentimes it's a delayed fuse, so to speak. But we have had tariffs in place in China since February the 4th and the rest of the world since April the 5th. And I looked up, how long it would take for cargo ships to make that trip. And according to Unicargo, based on the numbers that they reported, about 2 to 3 weeks for China and about 10 to 20 days for Europe, depending on the location. So given those numbers and the amount of time these tariffs have been in place, China's made at least 10 trips and Europe's made at least 8.
Yeah.
So why have we
Good question.
seen inflation going up?
You're asking good questions, man. This is a good conversation. I appreciate how
Thanks,
respectful
man.
you're being. Well, I think that there's 3 different possible responses here. The first possible response is going to be that hey, these tariffs have been on and off. So there's going to be a lot of cargo ships in here coming from countries that haven't been impacted by the tariffs because they haven't imposed tariffs on them yet. Or if they did, they revoked them 3 days later. B, another explanation is, well, all these tariffs have indicated that they're short term. Right? Donald Trump is imposing them, then pulling them back, setting them to be super high, then setting them to be super low or just equal to what we had before, or placing higher tariffs on Canada, then dropping the negotiations and going back to what was offered under the USMCA. So maybe even there are some companies here that will go out of business in the long term if these tariffs stay in effect, but because they're predicting that it's short term, they're absorbing them, right? And then the third response would be that prices have gone up.
I mean, I think that we saw, you know, the head of the Fed, Jerome Powell, tell us that he's going to slow the rate at which he's cutting the interest rates because of these tariffs and the effects that they'll have on the pricing of goods. I think that we've seen core inflation rise after a while of either being stagnant or going down. Today, inflation is higher than it was a year ago in June of 2024. And then also something else to consider here is we also have the reciprocal effects of what we saw in the first quarter of this year that could be mitigating some of the inflation caused through tariffing our imports. In the first quarter of this year, before the tariffs were actually imposed, what did we see? A massive surge in imports. Imports went up by 44%, and we saw a massive reduction in consumer confidence. Not only is that what caused our GDP to go down for the first time in a couple of years, but this obviously had a negative pressure on the pricing of goods because we had more products to sell, 44% increase in imports, and less people to sell them to, huge reduction in consumer confidence. So when we consider that these tariffs haven't been imposed on all products, these tariffs have been going on and off, so maybe some of those cargo ships haven't been hit. Maybe when we consider a lot of the seller of these goods see these tariffs as short term, so they're absorbing them for now, even though that's not sustainable in the long term. And the fact that we have the negative inflationary pressures proposed by the macroeconomic trends in our economy in the first quarter of this year, such as a surge in imports and a reduction in confidence, that we have seen inflation slightly rise by the tariffs, but I think the long-term impacts, if they will stay in effect, will definitely be more dramatic as time goes by.
So I'm looking up the U.S. inflation rate. To my understanding, in January of 2025, it was standing at 3%. It's currently at 2.7, at least the latest numbers that I can find, which are June. Now, this is an increase from May at 2.4 and April at 2.3, or March of 2.4. It is down from February, which was 2.8, and down from 3 when he took office. I looked up what it was in July of last year. And July of last year, 2024, I see the number standing at 2.9, where we're currently at 2.7. So I think that, you know, I can't make an argument that inflation has gone up. You can make an argument that inflation has slightly come down, unless you and I are just, you know, looking at different numbers here.
We are. I'm looking at core inflation.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking at core inflation? What am I seeing here? I'm looking at... Yeah, I don't want to, you know, slow down your live by look. Okay, so annual core inflation went up 2.9 from 2.8, below the forecast of 3. Okay, so is that number the same as it was around this time last year?
I think it's right around the same or slightly higher. And once again, I think the reason
So
why we
this
saw
is
like
despite-
but inflation was because of the trends that I indicated from the first quarter of this year: surge in imports, reduction in confidence.
Okay, so if inflation, let's call it negligible, not much of a change, yet tariffs are in place, and we've collected over $100 billion thus far. I think that's a good thing. I look at GDP now, monthly GDP. My source here is Y charts. I'm seeing that a year ago, GDP was at 28.93 trillion. That it's currently now at 29.99 trillion, which is an increase of 3.67%, or over $1 trillion. So looking at the effect of tariffs on GDP, we're not seeing a negative effect.
I don't trust your source. So the euro,
You don't like Y charts?
No, so the U.S. Bureau of Economics, that's
Okay.
like that's the source that relates information about GDP growth. That's what the Feds use. That's what the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis uses, and they don't release numbers monthly. They release numbers quarterly. So we won't know like GDP growth in the second quarter of this year until it's over.
I see. Okay.
Like Y charts is like likely making an estimation, or unless they're not.
Right.
Like I don't know, they could be pulling data from somewhere. I just don't know where they'd be pulling that data from, because it's like the data that is used by the Feds, the data that's used by the private banks under the Federal Reserve, that's all reported quarterly.
So we're going to take more of a wait and see approach as far as the potential effect on GDP.
Well, I mean, we saw like the actual effect in the first quarter of like the threat of them. I mean, it went down.
Yeah. So yeah, and markets also suffered around that time too. But now that we see that the 10% blanketed is in place, it's been in place since April in most of the world and since February on China. We know that we have now new deals with Japan, the UK, I believe Indonesia, the Philippines, and India. So things are sort of chugging forward in this 90-day moratorium that he gave. But at least as far as the market response, I think that after the whole tacoing, when he got the label of the taco, I think that since then, we've seen good economic recovery, at least in terms of markets. So the Dow, I believe it was yesterday, closed at 44.9. S&P was just over 6. NASDAQ is over 21. These are either records or at near records. So
right. No. I mean, in the same way we achieved like record highs under the Biden-Harris administration. You know, like I would be a fool to say like in the next 4 years we're never going to see new record highs again, right? You know, I think that our economy will continue to have a positive uptrend. I guess my question would be, it would be better for a larger positive uptrend. But as it relates to like where the economy is at today, I mean, I think that we would just be banking like predictive analysis of where things are going to be going. Because of like how muddied the waters have become with what the threat of tariffs caused in the general market, how that impacted the stock market, how that impacted the GDP, how that impacted inflation. I kind of already went through that as it related to surge in imports, a reduction in consumer confidence, which was recessionary and reduced inflation as a negative pressure. But then you have the positive pressures of importers passing those prices off to consumers unless they operate at like incredibly high profit margins like Nike does. And now we've already seen that in some companies, but I would say like the predicted analysis that I'd set forth would be one with higher levels of inflation. You know, once companies sell off all their imports that they brought in during the first quarter of this year, once companies recognize that these are not short-term, they're long-term, trade deals are solidified, they're going to stop, eating those, else risk going out of business in the long term. And we might see, like another dip. I mean, that's what Elon had said. That's what some economists have said. I won't say that for myself just because I haven't done the research yet. I rarely engage in, like more like analytical economic conversations such as that one. Such as this one.
Could this be a potential silver lining even for the critics of tariffs? So I'm looking at the CPI here on energy. I'm seeing it's down 7.9%. I have some friends that are in the import-export business, and they said there's fewer and fewer ships that are coming from, Europe and Asia. If that's the case, what we're going to see, I think, what we can make an argument for, is that energy commodities are down because demand for energy is down. And that demand for energy would be down because we're buying products more locally as opposed to from halfway around the world. So if you're into, carbon emissions and trying to find a greener world, I think that buying local could definitely help that. I think that if we're not funding these, fueling these massive container ships, that perhaps energy prices or energy demand will continue to tamp down, which could result in better pricing for consumers. And I'm just trying to pinpoint why I'm seeing energy commodities down 7.9%, and if that somehow may be connected to the fact that we're importing a little bit less.
So imports going down for energy drive costs up. That's always happened every single time because we're just cutting off more oil supply. Like that relates back to like a super simple principle of macroeconomics. Just lower supply, same demand, higher prices on average. This is why we saw an increase in the price of energy under the Biden-Harris administration. It's because we were cut off from Russian oil due to our sanctions, and OPEC reduced their output by 10%. And we see that time and time again. I understand that right now, like the CPI for energy is going down, even though we had a significant reduction in imports of oil during the first quarter. I think that's because of the future markets. But I don't know. I feel like you would have to give like a great amount of like explanatory power for how you think that reducing imports will cause the price of energy to go down. Because tracking history and basic macroeconomic principles, that has just never been true. Like you wouldn't be able to identify a point in history where that has been true. But I also would love to give you some sources here from like energy and innovation, for instance, that demonstrate how the price of energy is expected to go up for average households in all 50 states due to some of Donald Trump's policy reducing the productive capacities of energy in America by rolling back credits for energy production. But yeah.
So do you believe that there could be a reduction in energy demand if we're not going to be importing as many products from halfway around the world? And that demand could potentially...
Why would that reduce demand?
Because these container ships, if we're, they take an enormous amount of fuel. I'm just suggesting that if one of the largest economies in the world is no longer getting their products from halfway around the world, would that be a reduced carbon footprint and reduced energy consumption, which would result in decreased demand and, lower prices? In other words, I'm trying to find a silver lining.
No. I see you. I mean, I wouldn't say that, like your explanation there would give us enough reason to believe that to be true. I would hate to see, I wouldn't hate to see. I would love to see a study though, like if there would exist a study to demonstrate like the reduction in like domestic demand due to the fuel that it would take to power these cargo ships and the impacts that would have on like equilibrium price of oil, that would be cool. I understand why you're like framing that as a silver lining as well. But we would I'd have to have a study like in front of me that I could read to see how much fuel/oil they're consuming, how much is coming from America and not other countries.
Right.
And, who's paying for it, where it's coming from, and what the reduction would be with the imposition of tariffs. And, if that actually would generate some like even a marginal silver lining. It's an interesting thought, but I'd say without like further investigation through a study, like it'd probably just stay as that, an interesting thought.
Yeah, it's purely speculative. I have nothing to back up what I said other than the most rudimentary understanding of supply and demand, right?
Dude, I don't know. You're not too rudimentary, man. You're definitely testing me here. You're making me think.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I've always wanted to talk to you, Dean. I've talked to Parker, I think, a couple of times way back when, but you usually have so many people watching your lives. You host a great show that sometimes it's hard to come up, I'll go in the queue and there's like 70, 80 people there, but I appreciate you having me for sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you for having you up. Honestly, at this point, I think I'm going to move on to the next guest, but I appreciate you for the conversation.
Thank you. And Dean, next time you see me in the queue, if you ever want to talk, I'll be happy to talk to you again. I appreciate the debate, my friend.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day, bro. All right, we're going to move on to the next guest. Well, I mean, that was a quite pleasant, more specific conversation about the economy. I think I'm okay with doing that. Like in my mind, like the way that I like rationalize of these things is like the economy is important. It's so important to discuss those things. But like, how does this like fit into the larger puzzle of who Trump is and what he's doing to this country? And that's also like an important consideration, like maybe if I just like granted that everything he said was right, what would like the negative impacts be on the American economy and American industries because of Trump's deportation? You know what I mean? And how like everything is like works together. It's multifaceted, and how there's like maybe some positive pressures here and some negative pressures there, and what is the overall impact on America? But I didn't take that route with him because I actually wanted to have like a nuanced discussion about exactly what he was saying. And the reason I did that is because we have so many guests that come up here to argue so many different things. So it's like we could have like one guest who I have like a specific nuanced dialogue with about mass deportation, another guest where I have a specific nuanced dialogue with about tariffs, and how those like all kind of like wrap into like a larger picture. Now, I wish that guy wasn't a Trump supporter. He seems pretty smart. Hopefully he finds truth, but let's go ahead and move on to the next guest at this point, everybody. You're just going to give us a minute to get that next guest loaded up into the box. There's a handful of people that I'd like to thank you. So real quick, Charlotte, thank you so much for the $5 over on Venmo. Charlotte says, just to let you know, Robot said the W slur for Hispanics on Liam's live. That's why he's a Trump supporter. Oh my God. That's why he's a Trump supporter, because he's a POS. Dude, there's so many people like that. There's so many people. I don't know who that guy is. I've never talked to him before. I've never seen him before. But there's just so many people like that are intelligent, but they're evil. I feel like that needs to be remembered. It's like not everybody on the right is dumb. In fact, positing that everybody on the right is dumb is harmful. because there's a lot of people on the right that are very intelligent, know exactly what they're doing, but support it because of like bad moral virtues. What is a W slur? I'm pretty sure it would be referring to like WETBACKS. It's just like a very derogative term to use to refer to Hispanic individuals. Then also Christopher, once again, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Financially incentivizing this much better debate style. And honestly, fantastic response to my last comment. I mean, yeah, man, I appreciate you for the love. That's very kind of you. Let's see here. We're going to go to load up the next guest. Go to put a MAGA down below in that chat with your age. We'll load up the next guest right now. We're going to go and load up the next guest right now. Everybody, we got Ashley loading up into the live right now. Make sure if you are in that queue that you support Trump. Let's see here. Then also Harness, thank you for the $10 over on PayPal saying keep up the amazing work. I appreciate that, Harness. You've been in here a whole lot. I appreciate the time you do spend with us. Thank you, Harness. And then Darren, thank you for the $20 over on PayPal. Let's see what Darren says. Darren says, this is for Dean Withers from J. Polly. Keep up the good work, brother, and keep telling the truth. You're going to be a star. Darren, that is incredibly kind of you. I appreciate you for your kind words. Everybody's been so kind today. I know that I keep on saying that. I keep on repeating, I appreciate you for the kind words, but I just want to let you all know that I do. They mean a lot to me, you know, especially on these live streams. Like a lot of the people that I talk to don't have any kind words at all. So when I read people with kind words, it makes my day. As well as Coral with the $20 on YouTube Super Chat saying, welcome back. So happy to catch you alive after a long day at work. Well, welcome in, Coral. It's good to have you here. I've missed you. I've missed you all over on YouTube. You know, like we've developed like a fan base specific to YouTube, and you guys haven't seen the lives for a while now. As well as Maga Lee, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal. That is very kind of you. Okay. All right. Let us know in that comment section if you're MAGA and you'd like to come up and be the last debate of the night, everybody. We have time for one more. Quite frankly. Who is the last guest going to be? Who are they going to be? We're going to do something fun real quick. Speak, don't speak, mute, leave. Oh, you chose not to speak? Good boy! Good boy, Liam. I appreciate you for listening when I tell you not to speak. Who's a good boy?
I got a question for you about ICE.
Oh, and now you're listening because I told you to
I have a
speak
question
too?
about ICE.
Good boy. Such a good boy, Liam. Bye-bye. Well, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next guys here, everybody. We got Sam loaded up in the box. And Jason, I'll go ahead and read that message right now, man. You got it. Let me pull it up. What's going on? Do you support Trump, Sam? Okay, Sam's not here. Don't worry. Don't worry, by the way. There's a lot of lore there with Liam. If you're just now tuning in, you probably don't know what it is. But I promise that wasn't just like a random insult against some random dude. There's a lot of lore there. It runs deep. Runs deep. Everybody, let's get that next guest loaded up into the box. We got him loaded in right now. Victoria with the $2 on Venmo says somebody is catfishing as you in Bel Air, Maryland. I've actually seen that a lot before. People will go on dating apps and like use my name in pictures. That's really cringy. That's like terrible too. Welcome in. Do you support Trump?
No.
Based, Charlie? Very based, very based, very based. All right, let's try to get that last guest up here. We got Jason Walker loading in. What's up? You support Trump, Jason?
Hey, hello.
Okay, you are British. Josh, hi.
Oh,
how do you do it? How? I love you so much. No. 1 second. How do you do it?
I just I go into your brain and I just know what name to pick.
How do they do it? They get up like some days like 3 times, right? But like no, anytime they're in here, they get up. They know exactly like what name to put on the account. They know exactly what profile to use on the account. and they know exactly what to say in the chat. No, they've hacked the code. They've hacked the code. It is crazy, you know. We'll have like thousands and thousands and thousands of people in here, hundreds and hundreds of people that want to request to join, and they're able to get in every day. Welcome in. What's going on, Courtney? Do you support Trump? Courtney, don't leave, please, 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 please. Brent, thank you for the $2 over on PayPal, saying good job on Joe. Ah, I forgot about Joe. I said that we'd remember him. I forgot about him. What's up? Do you support Trump? No. Oh, they were playing a song that had the N-word in it, but it was really far away from their mic, so I barely heard it. I hope you guys didn't hear that. Welcome back. You left earlier.
Actually, I got hit. I won my appeal. So like I was saying, so does that make me a homophobe if I don't like that stuff?
I'm going to ask you again to not violate the TOS, but no, it does not make you homophobic if you don't like things in your butt.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand your reasoning of why you and Mr. Parker feel this way.
Bro, I don't feel this way. I've never said that I did feel this way. You're referring to a clip of Parker that was taken out of context. He doesn't feel that way either.
And then also, what about you trying to dox people too? That's another thing that a lot of people are getting mad at.
Yeah, we got our bi-daily TMZ reporter on the live to go through all the drama. I didn't dox anybody, like legally speaking, but I still don't think I should like call on my fan base to find their information and take to local CPS authorities. Of course, I've been over this about 1 billion times.
Yeah, because why would you say that to somebody? Just because like I see my kid get delivered, that doesn't make that I want people to see my kid naked. That's not it. It's like when you come into this world naked, correct, right? It's not like we come in with clothes. So it's like, of course the kids are going to be naked, and you actually like lured him into walking into that just so you could just say, oh, look, you like to see kids naked. Like, that's not true. Like, we all come into this world naked. That's how we're born.
I think you saying that we all come into this world naked and that's naked children, obviously you're not making like a full point here. You're not telling me what this is in like reference or context of. But this like on the surface level just sounds like some type of like pedophilic whistle to promote like the acceptance and normalization of adults seeing children naked. And when this is like framed as like a response to like the husband and wife that were saying that they think parents have the right to sexually exploit their children, like this gives us like some very bad implications of what you're hinting at or what you might believe. Like now, like I, as well as everybody else listening to what you have to say, are uncomfortable as fuck.
Okay, so this is the thing is, how could you even say that when I'm a parent, right? There's a doctor there. That doctor, that's his job. As a parent, I'm there to witness the birth of my child. That's it. I'm not there for any other reason. And the other people, the nurses that come in there, by law, they come there. They have to. They have to make sure that my wife is okay. They have to make sure the baby's heart is beating.
So
There's
far,
certain
like
things.
everything that you just said is true, but like the reason that I'm like getting like a red flag off of you is because what is the relation between everything that you've just described and, you know, this couple saying they have the right to sexually exploit their children?
Well, that's not what they said. That's not what they said. You put them in that hypothetical.
Oh.
And once you put them in that, he was trying to take himself out of the hypothetical. He was trying to say, hey, I don't support that. I don't condone that.
Oh, that is what they said.
It had nothing to do with what you're trying to make it into.
So do you think that they were innocent parents?
I don't know them personally, but I think that they got caught up in the syntax grammar, and you played them. And you played them very well. Like, this is what you do.
Not true at
You know,
all.
and you're very good at it.
I'm going to go ahead and
You're
play
very
you this
good at
clip
it.
for my own satisfaction. I don't think I'm under any obligation to play you this clip. Like, this is old news. You could have found a response to any of these things ages ago. I'm just going to play you this clip for my own satisfaction. So everybody, let's just see what he's saying. He's saying that I like caught these parents in a hypothetical and twisted their words and used them against them. Well, we're going to refute him just for my own satisfaction because I think that this guy is dense and dishonest. Like the other day when we were talking at the start of the conversation, you know, like the very first thing that was said was, here's Donald Trump walking into the changing rooms of these naked teens. And what was your first response to that?
Did the parents give consent? Did they allow it?
Goatman, precisely. I don't think that a parent can allow for their underage teen to be perved on. Real quick, how would a good parent respond to what I just said? I'm going to pause it there. I said, I don't think that a parent can consent to their naked underage teen being perfed on. How would good, reasonable parents respond to me saying that?
You're absolutely right. And I agree with that. Of course, nobody would consent to that. I would never consent to that.
Now, are you ready to hear what the parents said? Are you ready to hear what the parents had to say?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. If you're going to play, yeah, sure.
You don't think, or that's the law? There's a difference. There's a huge difference. What's the law?
Wait, are you... So no, that's actually not the law. It is...
What is the law, Dean? What is the age of consent? What is the law?
We're talking about teenagers, under 18 here.
Right, and they don't have the legal authority to make that consent. So whose responsibility is it then? Who is it? Is it God? It's not God. Who is it?
So the child can't consent to sex, and the parent can't consent to the child having sex.
So where does the consent fall?
I'll just gonna cut it off there. The clip goes on for like another 5 minutes. I don't know if I could physically listen to this more than I already have. I think I've played that back over 100 times at this point. That clip is literally just so gross and annoying. It's been fried on my brain. If you want to continue to listen to the full clip yourself, feel free. You could find it on my X. But basically the mom goes on to defend that parents sexually exploiting their children is a business transaction that benefits the kids. So sexually exploiting kids is good for kids. Somebody brings up how they think that child pornography, yes, child pornography, they called it art. And then even the husband there is whoa, it is not exploitative to have children involved in the creation of child pornography. So, I think that, a lot of what has been seen about these parents on the internet is very immediately taken out of context by bad faith pundits on the right. And this has been used to con so many people into saying oh, Dean is some completely unhinged psychopath that doesn't deserve a platform. I agree that I misstepped by calling on my audience to find their public information and privately take it to local CPS authorities. That's not something that I should have done. But the framing that has been promoted of these parents is completely disingenuous, harmful to the safety of children, and insane.
And that was in the reference to the preteen, was it the Miss Teen pageant, correct? Where he openly bragged about walking into the contestants of 18 plus. He never bragged about walking into to Miss Teen. He bragged about walking into 18 plus contestants, which he owned the pageant. So it wasn't like he just went into the teen rooms. It was the 18 plus. That's another thing that gets misconstrued.
So he did this in both Miss Teen USA and 18 plus Miss USA.
And you're talking about Howard Stern interview. So you're talking about in reference to the Howard Stern.
He did this to both teenagers and adults, but it's not more wrong in one scenario than the other. So the reason why this would be wrong to do to teenagers is because they cannot consent to that, right? But even though, right, the adult women could consent to Trump doing that, they didn't. So both the adults and the teenagers were not asserting consent. I don't know why so many people struggle with that concept. Reason it's wrong to do things to teenagers like that is because they can't consent. They're not consenting. So if an adult doesn't consent, it's just as wrong.
I think beauty pageants are horrible anyway. I don't think we should have them. I think they're a disgrace. I don't think beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But my thing is if these people are already exploiting their kids, right? They're already, the parents are the ones that are already exploiting these kids with these pageants and stuff like that.
How do you feel
They're
about
the ones that are messed up.
What?
Well, you're taking it from a BuzzFeed, right? You're talking about from 1997, Mariah Bellotto.
Wait. So you just said it's
Miss Teen Vermont.
So it's the parents' fault that Donald Trump sexually exploited
for putting them in the first place. No. I'm not excusing Trump's behavior. That's not what I'm saying. That's another case. What I'm saying is,
can we agree that it's nasty both ways? It's wrong both ways?
It is. But are you sure that the 18 plus didn't sign consent? From what I heard, there was consent that they did sign, being that if anybody part of the pageant was to walk through at any time, that it wasn't looked at as a, something like you're saying, what do you call that, essay or whatever you want to call it.
I want to be very clear of what you're asking for. Imagine that there was some case on the news that showed a store manager at Kohl's peeping his head under the dressing room where a 13-year-old was naked trying to dress on. The analogous question
Yeah, that's
that would be the
voyeurism,
first thing
that's
to
sick.
come into your mind right now would be, well, I guess you said women. So imagine that it's an 18-year-old trying to dress on in this Kohl's changing room. The analogous first question that would have popped into your head would have been, oh, did the 18-year-old sign a consent form for the Kohl's store manager to do that to her? Bro, obviously
That's a violation of-
not. Obviously not. No, it's like the women at the
That's the
beauty
Fourth
pageants.
Amendment. You can't do that.
The women at the beauty pageants, right? They're like consenting to being judged on a panel in a public space about their appearance with clothes on, like typically like dresses, whatever. I don't know. I've never been to a beauty pageant, so don't ask me. But like in the non-public private space of their dressing / changing rooms, that's a space that is not involved with the pageant in of itself at all. That's where they prepare before the pageant. That's before the pageant. That's before the quote unquote performance. That is a private space, completely separate from the public quarters where they're looked at and judged for their appearance. That's where they're not supposed to be looked at or judged for their appearance. That's where they undress preparing for the pageant.
And this was one person who said this was Mariah Bellotto, the former Miss Vermont. And this was in 1997. She told BuzzFeed. Are you aware BuzzFeed runs satire? Yeah, are you aware of that? That BuzzFeed is not even really a reputable news source in a sense? That they talk about Bigfoot and aliens and flat Earth on there?
Yeah, BuzzFeed does a lot, but I don't think that this would dispute their reporting as it would relate to the contestants of Miss USA and Miss Teen USA.
Because there was 11 other people that BuzzFeed tried to call and they couldn't even get them on the phone. Like they didn't even want any of this nonsense because it's a psyop. Like it's all a psyop against Donald Trump.
I don't think that's going to be the reason they didn't want to talk. A lot of the contestants probably didn't want to publicly talk because of the social repercussions. I think that you're demonstrating the social repercussion right now. Like the original BuzzFeed articles was from the early 2000s, where these women and teenagers were being open and vulnerable about the experiences of being perved on non-consensually by an older man. And now we even have like you, like 10, 15 years later, shitting on them, saying that they consented. Like the social repercussions of like bad faith, terrible people like yourself are definitely enough to pressure people into not being public and to not speaking out about these things, right? And like this isn't a new concept of bad things happening to somebody and then that person not speaking out about those bad things because of the social ramifications that they may experience.
I mean, you have a point there, but not. I don't send them. I look at everything like this. Most of the stuff that's on Donald Trump is 90% negative. Anything you're going to read about him is going to be negative.
It should honestly,
and that's just the media.
I know. I think that shows a very obvious bias for Trump. I think that he is a 99% negative man. So I wish that the reporting on him would be 99% negative as well.
99% negative. Do you understand how big of a number to be that negative? That doesn't even make any sense.
Just think about what you're saying. You're saying that because the reporting on Trump isn't equal, 50-50, good and bad, that reporting is biased negatively against him, and that's wrong. Like let's just reframe this with somebody else, Hitler. Like the reporting on Hitler today is like 99.5% negative. Okay, that other 0.5 is crazy, by the way. It's 99.5% negative. Would you say that's unfair, biased reporting on Hitler because it's not 50-50, good and bad?
Exactly, yeah, I would, because a lot about what Hitler was ran, a lot of people don't know, and I'm not a fan of Hitler, but there's a lot of stuff about Hitler that people, he was an artist, he was a
I didn't know I was talking to a Nazi. Dude, oh. The people that these live streams attract. I tell you. I'm just trying to give an example of why he's wrong. I'm just trying to give an explanation of why that guy was wrong. I was giving him an analogy of Hitler, of goddamn Adolf Hitler, I thought he'd be able to agree that just because 99% of the reporting on Hitler is bad, that's not bias. But of course, the freak was like, actually, Dean. Oh my God. Yeah, a lot of the people in the YouTube chat are saying didn't see that coming. I didn't see that one coming either. Holy shit, dude. Kaylin, thank you for the $5 over on PayPal, saying Freedom Flotilla kidnapped again. I saw very small bits of information about that before I started my live. I want to do a little bit more of an in-depth look at like who's on it, if they're going back to Palestine, and what they're doing. But it looks like they were kidnapped again. Y'all, please be more aware of Gaza. And maybe there's some fault of myself. I should talk about it more on my live streams more frequently. But right now, they're in like a stage 5 famine. There has been 23 babies that have starved to death in the last couple days. The babies are starving. Yesterday I saw a picture of a baby like a month and a half ago compared to now, lifeless, dead, and starved to death. I started crying on the airplane when I saw that. I literally started crying. It is unfathomable what the conditions in Palestine and Gaza are right now. Just like have a heart, dude. The only thing it takes is a heart. It doesn't take anything more than that. It doesn't even take common sense. It just takes a heart. Because that's fucked up. Yeah. As well as this is quickly turn. Sorry, I just got like dark and deep there. I just got like really dark and deep. Sorry about that. I mean, that's what's going on in reality, guys. It has to be. It has to be talked about. You have to know what's going on. It is just so. It's so bad. It's so bad, you guys. But here, sorry, my mic got unscrewed. Let me see what I can do here. I'm gonna read the comment section while I'm trying to fix my mic here. The comment section is going pretty fast. It is horrific. Yeah, man, it is like so horrific. It's like, God, man, it's hard. It's like hard to even like look at and read about and learn about. I mean, there's so many things going on in the world that I think that people in America need to be more mindful about. It's Palestine, Congo, what's going on over there with the M23 insurgents, what's going on in Ukraine, Rwanda, Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm gonna get together. My buddy right now has done a great job starting a fundraiser for Gaza. I mean, like seriously, crazy. So I think I'm gonna hop in on that. I'm gonna hop in on that, as well as we need to do the fundraiser for the Congo here soon. That got pushed back, but we need to do that. That'll be super duper soon. I'm actually thinking I'm going to talk to Athena about that like right after I end the stream. But quickly, I also wanted to thank Jay. Jay, thank you for the $200 donation over on PayPal. I understand that this is a quick switch away from the shit we were just talking about. It's so sad, man. I'm sorry. My brain is like stuck on it. Oh man, it's just been weighing on me. It's been weighing on me, especially the pictures. But anyways, Jay, I do really appreciate you so much for the $200 donation. Just know that I really do appreciate you, Jay, and your kindness. Jay said that you enjoyed the last conversation. That was fantastic. I'm gonna assume that you're talking about the one before the last, with whatever his name was. I forget what it is. What is it? Started with like an R or something. Yeah, I mean, the conversation in of itself was pretty good. Turns out he was just a huge POS, which explains why he's on the right. I'm often left curious why intelligent people are on the right. And there's your explanation. There's the explanation. It's because they're POSs. But everybody, please show some love to Jay down below in the comment section for the $200 donation. Thank you so much, Jay. I hope that you're doing well, keeping good care of yourself and whatnot. Thank you for the love, Jay. Everybody, please show some love to Jay. Let's see what else. Somebody in the chat is spamming. He wants to come up with anything to defend creeping on women and girls in their dressing rooms. Dude, to be MAGA, you have to defend some crazy shit nowadays, especially with the Epstein files. Holy crap, you guys. It keeps on getting worse. I think that they're going to like commute or pardon Ghislaine Maxwell in exchange for her like coming out and talking about people on the left. Yeah, I mean that's a development we can see. That's a development that we might see. And now, like, Donald Trump is calling it all the Epstein scam. Can't get better than that. Can't get any better than that. What an honest, good president. What an honest, good president, everybody. Let's see here. Yo, oh my God. Megan, thank you so much for the $50 over on Venmo, Megan. Let's get 500 Megan W's. Megan says, can you tell people about banging pots and pans at 6 p.m.? I've also at 8 p.m. local time to support Gaza. Empty pots because they have no food. I'm actually not aware about that. But I just said, I'll just repeat what you just said. Apparently tonight, banging pots and pans at 6 p.m. I know that is a pretty popular form of protest. That's like a specific name too. Where could I find more resources on this? I'll look into that. And also, thank you for telling me. Also, guys, they're doing that in downtown Denver. Oh, okay, so these are like organized protests in different areas. I wonder if there will be one like that where I'm from. I should actually probably get off live and go look into that, because if there is, I'll show up. Anyways, how have you guys enjoyed the censor? The censor for today. Should I like never turn it back on again? On TikTok. This is for TikTok. On YouTube, you don't hear it. Terrible? Nope. It's really bad. Okay. I'll never turn it back on again. I'll never turn it back on again. You guys got it. You guys got it. It'll never be back on. Ever, ever, ever. Sorry about that. You know, I can't even say anymore. It just censors it. I wonder if it censored it there. I don't know. Did it censor it? It did. It did. That's so funny. For everyone watching on YouTube, we just got censored over on TikTok for saying the F word. All right, y'all. I'm going to go and hop off for the night. I appreciate everyone for pulling through. I appreciate everyone for great level of kindness that you've shown me. You know, first stream back in the studio was a whole lot of fun. I'm going to go make a steak. Much love, y'all.